Chapter 5485, Kill. The sound of killing was loud and roared endlessly. The strong men in the Dragon Realm watched the Dragon Blood Legion be brave and invincible, killing the corpses of the Yinglong clan and the Bone Dragon clan army all over the field. With just a few thousand people, they killed hundreds of millions of people from the two clans. The strong, back again and again. They gritted their teeth, their blood was burning, and their fighting power was far beyond what they should have been able to do. The battlefield at this time has become an arena for the Dragon Domain powerhouses to compete with the Dragon Blood Legion. The Dragon Domain powerhouses will never allow themselves to be compared to the Dragon Blood Legion. It's just that no matter how brilliant achievements these ancient arrogances have, how proud their history is, and what kind of reputation they enjoy. In terms of killing skills alone, they are far from every fighter in the Dragon Blood Legion. Among the endless army of traitors, the Dragon Blood Legion came and went, killing people like grass. The so-called elites, in front of them, almost killed each other in a flash. The Dragon Blood warriors practiced the real attack and kill technique. If they could kill an enemy with one move, they would never need a second move. If they could kill an enemy with 7 points of strength, they would never use 8 points. Every move and style is extremely precise, and the precision of the strength is so accurate that it makes people's scalp tingle. They are like a group of death gods who live for killing. Harvesting life is their job. The strong men of the Yinglong and Bone Dragon clans fell in pieces in front of them, and those patriarch-level strongmen, as well as the sealed ancient Tianjiao, died one after another in front of Gu Yang, Li Qi, Song Mingyuan, Bai Shishir, and others. Xia Chen, who had completed the task of destroying the space gate, stood at the core of the team together with Guo Ran. One after another talisman seals and arrows shot out. Their attacks were only used to adjust the pressure of the team and maintain the formation is complete. Today's Dragon Blood warriors, armed with Dragon Blood blades, are like chopping melons and vegetables, killing wildly. Boom! With a shocking explosion, a 10,000 dragon nest of the Yinglong clan quietly approached the Dragon Blood Legion, but a rune in Xia Chen destroyed the invisibility ability. Guo Ran's huge crossbow flashed, and a golden arrow shot out as soon as he came out. The huge 10,000 dragons nest burst into pieces. Handsome, Guo Ran shouted excitedly, this is already the 30th 10,000 dragon nest he smashed. His arrows have been modified, and the arrows are inlaid with dragon taboo runes, which are specially used to destroy the structure of Wanlong's nest. No matter how powerful Wanlong's nest is, as long as it is shot at a vital point, it will disintegrate instantly. Long Chen spent a lot of effort to get this taboo rune from the ancestors of Longyu. At that time, the ancestors of Longyu also discussed it for a long time before handing it over. In addition to having taboo runes, this arrow is also made of special materials. This material is too terrifying for the restraint of Wanlong nest. Therefore, once Longyu finds out that there is such a material, he will desperately collect it and seal it, so as not to fall into the hands of the enemy, otherwise Longyu will have trouble sleeping and eating. With special materials and taboo runes, a total of 32 arrows of destruction were forged. Guo Ran shot out the terrifying 10,000 dragons nest one by one, immediately making Guo Ran stand out. With Guo Ran's suppression, no matter whether it is the Yinglong clan, the Bone Dragon clan, the Minglong clan, or the Dragon King level Wanlong nest, they dare not move anymore, because once a Wanlong nest of this level appears, Guo Ran will inevitably die. Kill them immediately. Guo Ran has become a thorn in their side and a thorn in their flesh. They wanted to kill Guo Ran immediately, but Guo Ran was at the core of the Dragon Blood Legion. But a hair. Puff! The Dragon Blood Legion charged wildly, and suddenly a huge head soared into the sky, and the powerful members of the Yinglong clan cried out in mourning, the Patriarch. Ying Chongkong led the Patriarch-level powerhouses and had been fighting head-on with the Dragon Blood Legion. There were more than a dozen of them, forming a charge, and wanted to cut off the formation of the Dragon Blood Legion. As a result, the cut was normal and they couldn't move. They were surrounded by the Dragon's Blood army. It turned out that Guo Ran deliberately asked him to cut here. On the surface, The Dragon Blood Legion has internal and external troubles and is in an extremely unfavorable situation, but the core is all masters of the Dragon Blood Legion. Next, frantically culling. At this time, Ing Chongkong and the others were shocked to discover that their imperial prestige was actually suppressed by the breath of the Dragon Blood Legion. The visions and auras of the Dragon Blood warriors are connected like a single piece of iron, forming a dragon blood formation. In addition, they have the blessings of the ancient dragon soul on their bodies, so that they are almost out of breath. At this time, they realized that something was wrong, but it was too late and the situation was over. The Dragon Domain powerhouses outside rushed desperately to come in to rescue them, but unfortunately, they were still unable to break through the defense of the Dragon Blood Legion. It was only half a stick of incense when Ing Chongkong was shot through the chest by Gu Yang, and by Shirshir cut off his head with a sword. As soon as Ing Chongkong died, the Yinglong clan was in chaos, and the patriarchs in the core of the Dragon Blood Legion were also in chaos. Puff puff. These patriarchs have been fearful all their lives, and they have been suppressed even more by the ancient dragon soul. These invincible patriarchs have blood splashed into the sky one by one. The ancient dragon souls in the Dragon Blood warriors fluctuated violently. Facing the traitors in the Dragon Domain, they naturally would not stand by and use the power of the dragon soul frantically to suppress them and assist the Dragon Blood army in fighting. At this time, the Dragon Blood warriors were full of fighting spirit and aura like a rainbow. A large number of dragon corpses were piled up at their feet. The scene was frightening. But the dragon warriors didn't know that the Dragon Blood Legion was supported by the Dragon Soul. They only saw that the Dragon Blood Legion was invincible. Killing the dragon's arrogance was like chopping monsters and chopping vegetables. They were shocked and angry, and had to desperately kill more the powerhouses of the Minglong family. They must not be compared. In this way, it will be miserable for the powerhouses of the Nether Dragon clan. Their opponents, with bloodshot eyes, are like crazy, desperately fighting them. And because the gate of space was cut off, they were suppressed by the law of heaven and earth here. Even the elite of the Minglong clan suffered a big loss. Within half a stick of incense, nearly 30% of the Minglong clan had died. The most frightening thing is that the death rate among their high-ranking officials is even higher, because those sealed arrogances don't bother to bully those young people, and when they catch the patriarch-level powerhouses, they start desperately. And the Minglong clan has one of the most intense battlefields, where the strongest power of the Minglong clan is concentrated, because the Minglong Tianfeng is here. At this time, 12 black wings emerged from the back of Minglong Tianfeng, and on each wing was a closed pupil, like the eyes of a devil. 12 black wings stretched out, and endless dark energy rose, exploding in the void around him. With 12 wings, he forcibly endured the suppression of the law of heaven and earth, and fought wildly with Mo Yang, Qi Wufeng and others. This person is so strong. Minglong Tianfeng brandished a long spear, fighting against Mo Yang and others, covered in blood, although they were at a disadvantage, but everyone couldn't take it down for a while. Mo Ying and others were all shocked when they saw this scene. Chapter 5486, that's the Hades Emperor's wings. It is rumored that only those who have been blessed by the Hades Emperor will have the Hades Emperor's wings. The patriarch of the Bailong family said, "The wings of the Underworld Emperor are divided into 2 wings, 4 wings, 6 wings, 8 wings, 10 wings and 12 wings. Among them, the 12 wings are the highest, and it is rumored that only the son of the Underworld Emperor is eligible to have the 12 Underworld Emperor's wings. It's just that the Underworld Dragons are traitors of the dragons. They betrayed the Chaos Dragon Emperor and entered the Underworld, and the Underworld has always rejected them. Although the Underworld Dragon clan showed their loyalty, they were born as pioneers, made endless contributions to the Underworld, and killed and injured countless powerful people, but the Underworld has always been wary of them. It has never been heard that someone from the Underworld Dragon clan can become the son of the Underworld Emperor. If this Underworld Dragon Peak is the son of the Underworld Emperor, then it is probably the first son of the Underworld Emperor in the history of the Underworld Dragon clan. With the explanation of the patriarch of the Bailong clan, everyone suddenly realized that Mo Ying, Xie Qianzhong and other powerful people did not know this secret. Son of the underworld emperor? Long Chen suddenly thought of Yu Qingxian, the former daughter of the underworld emperor. It seems that the entanglement between himself and the underworld emperor seems to be all doomed, and one day it will be completely liquidated. Long Chen looked at Minglong Tianfeng. His eyes gradually became sharper. At this time, the 12 wings of the Hades Emperor of Minglong Tianfeng spread the sky and the earth, 10,000 ways collapsed, and endless avenue runes circulated. A group of strong men never show their defeat. The strength of this person far exceeded Long Chen's estimation. Because the gate of space was closed, without the blessing of the power of the underworld, the strength of the underworld dragon peak would inevitably be greatly reduced. However, even so, Mo Yang and others tried their best, but they still couldn't suppress him. Long Chen knew Mo Yang's strength. If he fought recklessly with the power of dragon blood, Long Chen had no chance of winning against him. Now that so many of them work together, they can't win the underworld dragon peak, which makes Long Chen have to change his original plan. Long Chen, why don't we take action together and kill Minglong Tianfeng first? Facing such a traitor, we don't need to tell him any rules. Xie Qianzhong suggested. That's right, this guy is very scary. If he is allowed to grow up, the children of our dragon clan will suffer. Qi Yu Patriarch also said. Before the door of space is opened, this is our only chance to kill him, don't miss it. This time, even Mo Ying spoke. Long Chen shook his head and said, if you can't kill him, even if you all shot, he can't beat him and he will run away. If he doesn't want to fight to the death, you can't stop him with the power of the underworld emperor protecting his body. How do you know if you don't try? Qi Yu said with a gloomy face. Long Chen's words were very hurtful. If others said such words, he would have turned his back on him long ago. If you can't kill them, you can't stop them. This is simply the greatest humiliation to their patriarchs. They must not be convinced. Looking at Patriarch Qi, Long Chen sighed and said, actually, I want to kill him more than you guys, such a powerful opponent, I would never miss it in normal times. However, not today, we still have a more terrifying enemy, our power, we must not waste a single bit. Although we are in an absolute advantage now, in fact, Long Yu is in absolute danger, and a single negligence may lead to eternal doom. We continue to stay here and maintain the strongest fighting state, and the fate of Longius' life and death is in our hands, so please don't be careless. Long Chen used 2 tens of millions in a row, which made Mo Ying and the others tremble. Although they didn't get along with Long Chen for a long time, they admired Long Chen's methods from the bottom of their hearts. Long Chen spoke to them in such a tone, which meant that the matter was more serious than they imagined. Mo Ying nodded, and the other patriarchs also fell silent. At this time, the entire sky was already stained red with dragon blood, and the bloody smell in the air made people go crazy. The Dragon Blood Legion rushed wildly, and smashed the formation of Yinglong and Bone Dragon into pieces, and they were completely defeated. Almost all the top powerhouses were wiped out. Suddenly, the Dragon Blood Legion quickly dispersed, like bolts of lightning, rushed to the edge of the battlefield, and together with the arrogance of the Dragon Domain, they fought fiercely against the powerhouses of the underworld dragon clan. Puff puff. The Dragon Blood Warriors are like human-shaped lightning. Wherever they pass, stumps are broken and flesh and blood are flying. With the addition of the Dragon Blood Army, the army of the Dragon Clan has decreased rapidly. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the 9 heavens trembled, the stars trembled above the sky, and blood rained down. Chi chi chi. The blood rained down on the ground, and the ground was corroded by the terrifying blood essence, which was the blood of the Dragon Emperor, and the ground could not bear it. Ing Bufei, who is above the 9 heavens, has gone mad, and the Dragon Blood Legion frantically beheaded his people, but he was entangled and unable to escape, so he had to desperately. And the Dragon Blood Legion saw Ing Bufei desperately trying, so they abandoned the Yinglong clan and the Bone Dragon clan, and gave them a chance to breathe, lest Ing Bufei jump over the wall in a hurry and increase the number of variables. The patriarchs of the 7 dragon tribes were injured one after another under Ing Bufei's crazy counterattack, But they all gritted their teeth and tried their best to stop Ng Bufei. Even if he died, they must not let him rush into the battlefield. The ancestors of these dragon clan kept burning their souls, and their lifespan was rapidly declining, but they didn't care at all at this time. They only had one thought now, and that was to complete the task Long Chen taught them. Ka ka ka. Suddenly, endless cracks appeared above the void, and the disappeared gate of space reappeared. It's just that countless chains emerged on these space doors, binding them firmly and preventing them from opening. These chains are exactly the sealing technique that Xia Qin used. However, as the door of space trembled, the chains rattled, and some chains were overwhelmed and began to break. It seemed that they could not last long. Hold on, when the door of space opens, we will kill all these stupid dragons. A half-step dragon emperor of the Nether Dragon clan roared angrily. Boom! As a result, he had just finished yelling when he was swept away by Gu Yang. After fighting hard, Gu Yang and the half-step dragon king of the Minglong clan flew backwards at the same time. Brothers, work harder, kill all these guys before the door of space opens. Gu Yang yelled, holding a keel spear, and singled out the half-step emperor. To everyone's horror, after going through continuous bloody battles, Gu Yang was still full of energy and was still at his peak. Boom boom boom. Gu Yang hit 7 times in a row, and the half-step dragon emperor fought hard 7 times, but the old man of the underworld dragon clan and Gu Yang spurted blood at the same time. Asshole, you're cheating! The old man of the Minglong family roared. He fought against Gu Yang, and was suppressed by the powerful dragon soul on his body, making him extremely uncomfortable. But because he had been in the underworld all his life and had never been suppressed by a dragon soul, he couldn't explain why, and the word cheating collapsed in the end. Cheat you uncle, Gu Yang has a dragon soul possessed, like a god's help, fighting fiercely with the dragon clan. It can be said that he has taken advantage of the sky, and the half-step dragon emperor is singled out. This kind of opportunity is rare. He roared and killed again. Boom boom boom. Under the suppression of the dragon soul, the strong man of the underworld dragon clan couldn't tell the pain, couldn't use his strength, and was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, and was killed by Gu Yang, making him fall back again and again. Boom boom boom. At this moment, 8 consecutive explosions sounded, the endless chains were shattered, the 8 space gates opened, and endless ghost energy poured in crazily. Roll, when the endless spirit of the underworld poured in, the underworld dragon peak, which was struggling to support under the siege, let out a roar, and the 12 wings behind him spread out at the same time, and in an instant, Mo Yang and others were immediately blown away by the terrifying wings go out. Thousands of miles of wings trembled, and the terrifying aura of the emperor washed over the world. Hell Dragon Tianfeng had a ferocious face, roaring and shaking the sky. Damn it, none of you will live today. Chapter 5487 Boom. The endless energy of the underworld surged, centered on the underworld dragon peak, and impacted in all directions. Black lightning and flames were intertwined, and his wings were as soft as spider silk, swinging back and forth between the sky and the earth. At this time, his 12 wings, like soft tentacles, stretched into the heaven and earth, violently absorbing the power between the heaven and the earth. At this time, his aura rose instead of falling, and became stronger and stronger. Mo Yang, Qi Wufeng and others kept retreating under the terrifying impact. How so? Mo Yang and the others were startled and angry. This Minglong Tianfeng was incredibly strong, so many of them tried their best, but they couldn't take him down, and they didn't even have the ability to consume his origin. At this time, the aura of Minglong Tianfeng was circulating, and the fluctuations in the blood were overwhelming, and his strength was beyond their imagination. I just don't believe in this evil, a female monster of the dragon clan shouted angrily. The scales all over her body burst into flames, and the natal rune between her eyebrows burned. At that moment, her aura increased several times in an instant. Don't want. Seeing this scene, Mo Yang, Qi Wufeng and other Tianjiao were horrified. The female monster actually burned her natal essence, which was her dragon crystal, in exchange for more powerful power. In this state, Although her strength is strong, she has a fatal weakness. Once she is backlashed by the strength, the dragon crystal will be damaged, ranging from being disabled to dying on the spot. They didn't expect that this female monster, who had been sealed for so many years, was still so hot-tempered, which clearly meant to die with her. Boom! The Mo Yang and the others wanted to stop it, but unfortunately it was too late. The dragon woman had already united her spear, burning the fire of life, and charged towards Minglong Tianfeng with the determination to become benevolent if she didn't succeed. Dragon swallowing heaven art, Qi Wufeng made seals with his hands, a beam of divine light shot out from his hands, and flew straight towards the woman. And the moment he roared, Mo Yang and others immediately pressed their big hands on his body. Die, seeing the woman come to kill, the 12 wings of Minglong Tianfeng floated behind, and the dragon spear in his hand stabbed quickly. At that moment, the ghost energy in the world was sucked dry by the spear, and it was shot down with the supreme power of heaven. Boom! With a bang, the woman flew upside down with a mouthful of blood, and the dragon gun in her hand exploded instantly. However, just before she took the blow from Minglong Tianfeng, the divine light shot by Qi Wufeng attached to her body. As a result, the moment the woman flew upside down, Qi Wufeng, Mo Yang and the others groaned at the same time. Their chests seemed to be hit by a meteor, almost spurting out a mouthful of blood. It turned out that Qi Wufeng cast the Qilong clan's secret technique from the air, and everyone shared the damage of Minglong Tianfeng's blow. Share the damage? Give me another try. Minglong Tianfeng took a step forward and caught up with the dragon woman who was flying upside down. The spear flew across the sky, and with an ear-piercing whistling sound, it slammed down after her. Oops, Qi Wufeng was shocked. His secret technique could only be used once in a short period of time. It was too late to save her from such a distance, and seeing that woman was about to be killed, they felt ashamed. Snapped, a big handful of stars grabbed the tip of the spear. At this moment, people saw a figure standing in front of the woman. Dragon Dust, Mo Yang and the others were surprised and delighted. The person who made the shot was Long Chen, but they never imagined that Long Chen would dare to take the spear of Minglong Tianfeng with his bare hands. They have fought fiercely with Minglong Tianfeng, and they don't know how many moves. His long spear is a peerless magic weapon, unmatched in tenacity. If it is not a last resort, they dare not fight recklessly with weapons. This is also the reason why everyone failed to take him down for such a long time, thinking that the dragon spear in his hand was too terrifying. At this time, Long Chen's starry sky battle suit emerged, and the endless stars flowed, like a corner of the universe, and the stars flowed, containing endless magic and Taoism. The battle clothes are floating, the long hair is flying. Long Chen is like a starry sky war god, standing above the void, holding the dragon gun in one hand, looking at the Minglong Tianfeng. No wonder, this is a weapon blessed by the emperor of the underworld. It seems that the father you recognize loves you very much. Yes, it is not in vain to recognize a thief as a father. The power of Minglong Tianfeng's spear was devastating, but the moment he was caught by Long Chen, the terrifying power disappeared without a trace, like a mud cow entering the sea, and he was stunned. However, when he heard Long Chen's ridicule again, he suddenly became furious, pulled his spear and kicked fiercely. The moment he kicked fiercely, Long Chen also kicked out. Boom! With a bang, Long Chen and Minglong Tianfeng retreated at the same time, and Long Chen also let go of Minglong Tianfeng's spear. The two were separated by hundreds of miles and looked at each other coldly. What kind of power is this? Qi Wufeng couldn't help exclaiming when he saw the stars flowing around Long Chen. His power was concentrated and he didn't let out a breath, and he couldn't feel his coercion at all. I knew that he didn't use his full strength that day. What he is using now is not the power of dragon's blood at all. Mo Yang couldn't help shaking his head and smiling bitterly. That day he lost a move. Although he was not convinced, he was also an upright person. If he lost, and he would never deny it. He also knew that Long Chen didn't use his full strength. Similarly, he didn't use his full strength. He always thought that there should be little difference in strength between himself and Long Chen. However, at this time, Long Chen did not use the power of dragon blood, but used a power they had never seen before, and he was able to shake the underworld dragon peak blessed by the law of the underworld with his bare hands. Only then did he understand that Long Chen had been hiding strength. The ants of the human race dare to be arrogant in front of me. Now that the gate of the underworld has been opened, I am the master here, and you are only worthy of crawling at my feet. Minglong Tianfeng waved the dragon spear in his hand, shaking the void. The 12 Hades wings behind him kept swinging, and the endless laws of the underworld circulated in them. Each wing was like a world, and the oppressive feeling made people despair. His aura, with the influx of laws in the gate of the underworld, is still improving as if it will never end. However, facing Minglong Tianfeng, Long Chen's face remained flat, and the starry sky battle suit fluttered slowly. That elegant posture can bring people an endless sense of security, as if as long as he is there, the sky will fall, and Long Chen can withstand. What? After admitting a thief as a father, has your social status increased? A watchdog dares to yell at you, Third Master Long. I really don't know. Where did you get the courage? Long Chen said lightly. Your Highness, quickly kill them. A half-step dragon emperor of the underworld dragon clan shouted loudly. Although they are blessed by the laws of the underworld, only 1/10 of them are left, and they are still being suppressed and beaten. Seeing that Minglong Tianfeng was still sparring with Longchen at this time, they were suddenly anxious. What time is it, and they are still in the mood to fight? Fortunately, Minglong Tianfeng has a very high status, otherwise he would have yelled at him long ago. Only then did Minglong Tianfeng notice that even though the gate of the underworld was opened, the number of the Minglong clan was too small to counterattack. With a wave of the dragon's spear in his hand, suddenly the 12 wings fluttering behind him suddenly stopped, followed by a wing the pupil of the devil on the top opened. Boom! The moment that I opened, black thunder and flames enveloped the underworld dragon peak, and his aura instantly increased tenfold, and that aura was almost comparable to that of the Dragon King. What? At that moment, the complexions of the dragon domain powerhouses all changed. At that moment, Minglong Tianfeng had an imperial aura on his body. Die! Minglong Tianfeng shouted angrily, stepped forward, carrying boundless dark energy, and charged towards Long Chen. The terrifying power pressed the whole world to explode. Facing the full-scale eruption of Minglong Tianfeng, Long Chen took a deep breath and stopped drinking. 8-star battle body, open. Chapter 5488 Long Chen roared, like the roar of a god, resounding through the world, and the 8-color god ring circulated behind him, and the 8 stars lit up the sky like 8 suns. Behind the 8 stars, there is an endless sea of stars. When the sea of stars trembles, the stars on the sky are shining brightly, covering the universe and covering the entire dragon realm. He is heir of the 9 stars? At this moment, Mo Yang, Qi Wufeng and countless ancient arrogances who were sealed all opened their mouths wide. They only now know Long Chen's identity. That's not right. The descendant of the 9 stars has always been a loner, and the dragon never sees the head and tail, and never keeps company with others, but he. Someone exclaimed. However, only the 9-star lineage can have this star vision. Someone said. It is rumored that in the era of chaos, there are star warriors who can also summon the power of stars. Could it be that he is the legendary star warrior? But he clearly yelled 8-star battle body just now. That is a unique slogan of the 9-star lineage. For a moment, these ancient arrogances were completely dumbfounded. In the era they lived in, although descendants of the 9 stars were rare, their legends could still be heard. In modern times, people almost forgot the identity of the descendants of the 9 stars. Therefore, when the experts in the dragon realm saw the vision of Long Chen, the ancient experts were more shocked than the modern ones. What about the successor of 9 stars? Let's see how I kill you. Minglong Tianfeng was also shocked by the terrifying vision of Long Chen, but the endless power of stars, instead of scaring him, inspired him to fight. He stabbed at Long Chen. It's up to you? Let's think about how to escape for a while. Seeing the wild words of Minglong Tianfeng, Long Chen sneered, opened his big hand, and the starlight in his palm flowed, and instantly condensed into a light ball. One star god falls, the ball of light in Long Chen's hand slammed at Minglong Tianfeng's spear. Boom! With a bang, the star ball exploded, and the huge impact crushed Wandao. In the endless flying fragments of time and space, Long Chen and Minglong Tianfeng flew upside down at the same time. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them took 7 steps back, and 7 black vortexes were stepped out of the void by the two of them, like 7 shattered black holes. Apparently, the strength of the two of them has made the law of space unable to withstand it, and it has broken. When seeing this scene, people were shocked. This scene has gone beyond their understanding of power. This is too strong. There was a monster-level powerhouse of the Dragon Clan, with a look of shock on his face. He belongs to the same level as Mo Yang, Qi Wufeng and others. Before, he was dissatisfied with Mo Yang and Long Chen, but now the power displayed by Long Chen completely stunned him. Boom! Just when everyone was shocked, Long Chen and Minglong Tianfeng rushed towards each other at the same time. Minglong Tianfeng slammed his spear, and Long Chen blocked it with his forearm. There was a bang, and Long Chen forcibly blocked it with his forearm. A blow from Minglong Tianfeng. What? This time, even Minglong Tianfeng was frightened. The strength of his Minglong clan already ranks high among the Dragon Clan. Moreover, the dragon spear in his hand is a magical weapon blessed by the Emperor of the Underworld, and with the opening of the Emperor's wings, the power of this blow, even the strongest of the Dragon Emperor, may not dare to take it with bare hands, and Long Chen but blocked. Snapped, however, when Minglong Tianfeng was shocked by Long Chen's body, Long Chen's left hand slashed across the void, and no one could see clearly what kind of movement Long Chen used to bypass the long spear and slap Minglong Tianfeng's face. Puff! Minglong Tianfeng's face was instantly blasted, blood spattered. Minglong Tianfeng flew upside down like a spinning top. This sudden change stunned everyone. They had never seen this kind of trick in their life. He slapped Hell Dragon Sky Peak away, but Long Chen didn't chase after him. He swung his right arm slowly a few times. The feeling of numbness gradually disappeared, and the cracks on the bones also recovered instantly. This guy's strength is so strong. Fortunately, I'm no longer the Long Chen I used to be. Otherwise, this shot would directly blast my arm. Long Chen looked at his arm with a satisfied smile on his face. After returning from the chaotic battlefield, his comprehension of the power of the stars has been raised to an unprecedented height. In the past, he would only use the power of the stars to fight head-on with others. Every time he would injure the enemy by 1,000 and hurt himself by 800, he never understood the power of femininity contained in the power of the stars. If it was in the past, Long Chen's arm would definitely be shattered if he used rigidity to overcome rigidity, but now Long Chen's star power is rigid with softness, and the moment the enemy's power enters his body, the power will be transmitted to his divine ring. Among the 8 stars, the vision of the star sea, and the stars in the Dantian and the heavens. In this way, the strength that Long Chen's physical body can bear is only 3 points at most. Although Long Chen's bones are cracked by the shock, this kind of injury can be easily repaired by chaos space. The most important thing is that the transmission and offset of this energy does not need Long Chen to control it all, and Long Chen does not know how to control it at all. It happens naturally. Even Long Chen himself didn't know why this phenomenon happened. He only knew that since returning from the chaos battlefield, the 9-star Hegemon body art had undergone earth-shaking changes, making him stronger. There was a smile on Long Chen's face. He was very satisfied with the changes in the 9-star tyrant body art. He used to practice the 9-star tyrant body art just a little bit of superficiality. Now, he feels that half of his foot has already stepped into that threshold. This feeling, very wonderful. However, the satisfied smile on Long Chen's face, in the eyes of others, is contempt and ridicule towards Minglong Tianfeng. Damn it, dare to laugh at you, Master Tianfeng? Half of Minglong Tianfeng's face was bloody and terrifying, his eyes were almost burning with flames, and his anger reached the extreme. The sky is high and I am the peak. In this world, no one can laugh at me, Minglong Tianfeng. Minglong Tianfeng roared to the sky. Boom! In the wings behind Minglong Tianfeng, Another devil's eye opened. When this devil's eye opened, dense lightning symbols appeared around Minglong Tianfeng's body, and his aura surged again. Ka ka ka. With him as the center, the space split like a spider web, and then the crack disappeared, and then split again. As his aura fluctuated, the space was constantly exploding and repairing, and the sight made the scalps of the experts feel numb. 12 wings, each with an eye. Every time you open an eye, your strength will increase by a large amount. This is no longer the supernatural power of the Underworld Dragon Clan or the Dragon Clan. It seems that this should be a unique technique of the Underworld Emperor's lineage, right? Long Chen looked at the 2 opened demon eyes on the wings of Minglong Tianfeng. Because Long Chen felt the will of the Underworld Emperor in the eyes of the demon, but this will is the supreme law, which is completely different from the will of the ancestors of the Dragon Clan. It is too much higher, and there is no way to compare it. Are you afraid? Minglong Tianfeng gritted his teeth, with murderous intent. Boom boom boom. He walked towards Long Chen step by step, and every time he took a step, the entire dragon realm trembled. The terrifying breath and will made people feel fear from the depths of their souls. Chapter 5489 Minglong Tianfeng gritted his teeth, and in the wings on his back, there were 2 demon eyes, like 2 dark whirlpools, devouring all the power in the world, making people afraid to look directly at it. At this time, the aura of Minglong Tianfeng has completely changed. It is evil and cold, with a hint of imperial coercion. And just this trace of imperial coercion is many times more terrifying than the real Dragon King powerhouse. That coercion comes from the will of the Emperor of the Underworld, which can crush all ways, reverse the universe, and destroy the gods of the heavens. Even a strong man like Mo Yang couldn't help trembling his soul when he felt the will of the Underworld Emperor. They couldn't imagine how much pressure Long Chen, who was facing the Nether Dragon Peak alone at the core of the battlefield, was under. However, at this time, Long Chen, like a normal person, looked at Minglong Tianfeng lightly, allowing his breath to stir up. 10,000 ways collapsed, and Long Chen remained calm all the time. He is like a vast starry sky. No matter how powerful you are, under the endless starry sky, you are still a drop in the ocean. Long Chen's starry sky battle suit was floating, and his long hair was flying. Facing the approaching Minglong Tianfeng, Long Chen said lightly, "I don't hate arrogant people, but I hate those who are more arrogant than me. Moreover, I hate those who have no strength of their own and are arrogant. If I didn't have something to do today, if I didn't beat you up, I would consider your butt to be of good quality." Minglong Tianfeng didn't understand Long Chen's meaning, but he heard Long Chen's contempt and disdain for him. He roared, and people rushed towards Long Chen like lightning. Laugh, however, just as he pounced on Long Chen, he suddenly felt something was wrong. With a flash, a sword energy flashed past where he was originally, cutting a crack in the void. "Your Majesty Long Chen, Yu Zifeng, the commander of the 4th Army of the Dragon Blood Legion, is here to learn from you." In people's horrified eyes, Yu Zifeng's figure appeared in front of Long Chen. It was his sword that pushed back Dark Dragon Tianfeng. Of course, among the strong players present, he was the only one who could push Dark Dragon back with a single sword. Tianfeng. This is Yu Zifeng's second strike. The first strike, a sword severely wounded the ancestor of the Bone Dragon clan, the former Dragon King powerhouse. After being severely injured by Yu Zifeng, he was beheaded by Guoran and others. Now, the second time Yu Zifeng made a move, he was equally astonishing and talented. Once he made a move, he was astounding. Even as powerful as Minglong Tianfeng, he had to avoid his edge. Such a terrifying guy is willing to be under the seat. Qi Wufeng and the others felt their scalps go numb for a while. This Yu Zifeng made a total of 2 strikes, but they shocked all of them. Even if he was as strong as them, he was not sure that he would be able to survive this strike. Yu Zifeng's swordsmanship had reached a height beyond their imagination. When the sword came out, ghosts and gods were startled. It was irresistible and unavoidable. This was a sword that could shatter the confidence of any strong man. Buzz buzz. At this moment, Gu Yang, Li Qi, Song Mingyuan, Guoran, Xiaqin, Bai Shishir, and Bai Xiaola all killed and surrounded Minglong Tianfeng. The boss said that we have a 90% chance of defeating you, but the probability of killing you is less than 30%. I don't believe it. Call, Guoran holds a golden saber in his right hand and a large golden shield in his left. His battle armor glows all over his body, and he has locked onto the Minglong Tianfeng with fierce murderous aura. 90% chance of defeating me? Ha ha. Minglong Tianfeng looked up to the sky and laughed, as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Ha ha ha. Seeing Minglong Tianfeng laugh, Guoran also laughed. Although I have always admired my boss, I have always believed in his vision. However, this time I think the boss has misjudged him. He didn't want to waste his energy with you, so he gave us the opportunity. However, I think we are not 90% sure of defeating you, but 90% sure of killing you. Fart your mother. Minglong Tianfeng was furious. He is the son of the Emperor of the Underworld. Not to mention the Minglong family, even the entire underworld can walk sideways. Those who couldn't beat him had to kneel down, and those who could beat him had to walk around because of his status. After being slapped by Long Chen didn't do anything himself, but called a group of subordinates to clean him up. This clearly looked down on him. How had he ever suffered such humiliation? He yelled directly. Boom! Minglong Tianfeng's spear surged, piercing the void, and as soon as the spear moved, it was already in front of Guoran. Don't you brush your teeth? Why is your mouth so smelly? Guoran had been on guard for a long time. He swung the golden shield in his hand and shouted at the same time, Dragon sealing the sky. Boom! The spear of Minglong Tianfeng pierced Guoran's golden shield, and hundreds of millions of runes lit up on the golden shield in an instant, like the sun blooming, shining brightly. What? To everyone's horror, Guoran didn't take a single step back and abruptly blocked Minglong Tianfeng's shot. You know, at this time, Guoran's equipment has been replaced with the latest ones, and there are hundreds of battle armor accessories on his body, each of which is the existence of the highest-grade human emperor's soldier. With the combination of so many divine soldiers, coupled with the cooperation of Qianlong's power, Guoran already has the strength to challenge the Dragon King powerhouse in a short period of time. The most powerful strength of the Qianlong clan is defense. This shield is the strongest shield Guoran built according to his own needs. Therefore, it forcibly blocked the terrifying blow of Minglong Tianfeng. Even for Guoran, this is a matter of course, because when he finished building the shield, Guoran once proudly said that even if it was the boss' strongest blow, he could prevent it. However, his confidence was shaken at this time, because the blow from Minglong Tianfeng made his arms a little numb. Guoran stopped drinking, and the golden saber in his right hand slashed out like lightning, straight to the waist of Minglong Tianfeng. Minglong Tianfeng blocked his spear obliquely, and with a bang, Minglong Tianfeng let out a muffled grunt, and was sent flying by Guoran. All the powerhouses present exclaimed, Guoran's knife looks ordinary, but it really has such terrifying power? What they didn't know was that Guoran's shield was blessed with a formation, which transferred most of the power of Minglong Tianfeng to Guoran's long sword. This sword contained the power of Minglong Tianfeng and Guoran's dragon. Naturally, he suffered a great loss. As a result, Minglong Tianfeng had just retreated, a sword chi slashed down, Minglong Tianfeng screamed, a wing was cut off by Yu Zhaifeng's sword, and there was blood overflowing on the wing. Xiaolu put it away quickly. Seeing that a wing of Minglong Tianfeng was chopped off, Guoran shouted excitedly. Suddenly a vortex appeared above the void, the wing was swallowed by the vortex, and disappeared in an instant. It was by Xiaolu who used the technique of space to take the wing away. You guys die for me. Minglong Tianfeng lost a wing, and the whole person suddenly fell into madness. He opened his arms, black flames flowed around his body, and the terrifying pressure of the Hades Emperor bloomed instantly. You are going to die. Seeing that Bai Xiaolu stole one of the wings of Minglong Tianfeng, Guoran was very excited. Holding a golden shield, he just went to kill Minglong Tianfeng. The sky is so high that you are the peak, and today we will level your peak. Gu Yang followed closely with a bone dragon spear in his hand. Boom boom boom. The 8 masters of the Dragon Blood Legion shot at the same time, and Minglong Tianfeng lost a wing, and was immediately killed back again and again, and fell into a disadvantage in an instant. Dragon Blood Legion belongs, kill all the traitors. Long Chen shouted loudly. Following Long Chen's order, the Dragon Blood warriors left behind those powerhouses of the Underworld Dragon Clan and rushed towards Ying Long and Bone Dragon Clan in an instant. The old man fought with you. Just when the two clans were about to be killed, Ying Bufei, the patriarch of the Ying Long clan, roared from the 9 heavens. Boom! Then people saw that the milky white flame wrapped Ying Bufei, and the power of sacred faith merged rapidly with his Dragon Emperor's blood. Boom! The ancestors of the White Dragon, Black Dragon, Red Dragon and other races were immediately sent flying backwards by the terrifying air wave. This is... They looked at Ying Bufei in shock. At this time, Ying Bufei was burning with flames all over his body, and his face was as ferocious as a ghost. You don't need to fight with them, let me do it. At this moment, a figure appeared with a cold face and fluttering silver hair, quietly appearing behind Ying Bufei. Puff, however, the shock turned abruptly. The silver hair was empty and the 5 fingers were like hooks, piercing Ying Bufei's head. What? At that moment, even Long Chen was startled. Who? Ying Bufei was shocked. He wanted to struggle, but was shocked to find that he couldn't move. I've been waiting for you for a long time, just waiting for you to integrate the Brahma God seal. Now you can go with peace of mind. I will avenge your revenge for you. The silver-haired Ken Kong trembled with his big hands, and a horrifying scene appeared. Ying Bufei's body shriveled rapidly, and finally turned into fly ash. But the silver-haired remnant Kong was in high spirits, with endless divine flames circulating on his body, and there was a hint of imperial aura. The silver-haired Ken Kong turned his head to look at Long Chen, with a cruel smile on his face. Long Chen, today, let me see how you escape from my palm. Chapter 5490, You have finally come out, the majestic 8 great gods of the Brahma heaven, to deal with me, a little heavenly sage. You still have to think carefully and step by step. Not bad, not bad. Crack. Long Chen couldn't help clapping his hands when he saw the silver-haired Ken Kong appear. Although he calculated that the silver-haired Ken Kong didn't show up for so long, there must be some conspiracy. Unexpectedly, this guy was so scheming that he used up the pawn of the Ying Long family and the Bone Dragon family at this time. 8 great gods? When they heard that Brahma was the 8 great gods, at that moment, the expressions of the older generation of powerhouses in Longyu all changed. The 8 great gods of the great Brahma, but they are notorious. They have participated in the Chaos War. They are legendary existences. How could they appear here? Because before, Long Chen had never told them about the silver-haired emptiness. On the one hand, it was useless to tell them, it would only increase the variables. On the other hand, Long Chen was also afraid that there would be traitors in the top management of Longyu. Under such a huge pressure, if Longyu couldn't bear it, he might be crushed. Now that the silver-haired Ken Kong appeared, Mo Ying and the others realized who the terrifying enemy Long Chen was talking about was referring to. Not only the faces of the older generation of powerhouses have changed, but also the faces of Mo Yang and others, because they lived earlier and knew a lot about Brahma and his 8 great gods. They understand better than anyone else that the 8 great gods. What do these 4 characters mean? However, the modern dragon powerhouses obviously have never heard of the 8 great gods, but their faces changed when they saw so many people, and their hearts hung up. At this time, the silver-haired remnant Kong is still in the realm of the 9 meridians heavenly sage, but there is a hint of imperial aura, which means that at this time, he is equivalent to a half-step god emperor. He directly absorbed Ying Bufei, and the terrifying scene stunned all the powerful people in the audience. You are too cunning. This time, I will never let you escape again. Today, no one can save you. The silver-haired Ken Kong looked at Long Chen, his face full of confidence. This is already the 3rd time we have met. The first time you ran away, right? The second time, you took advantage of my exhaustion, and I admit that I escaped that time. In this way, we have evened 1 by 1. As for this time, I think we should make a thorough liquidation. Today, we will not only decide the outcome, but also decide life and death. Long Chen shook his neck, his bones crackled, and with his movements, endless stars flowed slowly around him. Haha, it's not only a matter of victory, but also of life and death? What a big tone. The first time it was just my carelessness that made you escape. The second time, if it wasn't for that kid from the Fengshen lineage, you would have already been a corpse. What do you use to compete with me, to decide whether to live or die? Obediently hand over what I want, and I can let you leave this world with dignity. The silver-haired King Kong looked up to the sky and laughed. Hearing Yin-haired King Kong's words, Long Chen smiled. You are very confident, and I am also very confident. You think I will die today. And I think that you will definitely not be able to leave Long Yu alive today, but I don't know whose instinct is more correct among us. But at this moment, all the fighting on the entire battlefield, except Minglong Tianfeng, stopped, and the strong men of the Yinglong and Bone Dragon clans looked at the silver-haired King Kong with horror on their faces. They don't know whether they should hate Yinfa King Kong, and they don't know who Yinfa King Kong is, but they know that Yinfa King Kong is a subordinate of Brahma and represents Brahma Pill Valley. It stands to reason that they were with them, but Yin-haired King Kong killed Ing Bufei, but they had to rely on Yin-haired King Kong. At this time, their moods were extremely complicated and even a little scared. They began to regret. Why did they betray Long Yu? What was all this for? Now, all the top masters of the Yinglong clan and the Bone Dragon clan have been slaughtered. With them alone, can they dominate the dragon domain? If they can all unify Long Yu, how weak will Long Yu be? Can it withstand the nibble of monsters? At that time, the dragon realm would either become an accessory of the Brahma Pill Valley, or it would become the blood food of the monsters, and there was no third way to go. And these two paths are not what they want. At this time, they are panicked, and their eyes are full of remorse, but there is no turning back when they open their bows. They no longer know how to face the future ending. Boom boom boom. Waran, Yu Zifeng and others frantically fought against the underworld dragon peak. The sword currents were flowing, runes filled the sky, and the avenue runes of the underworld continued to explode, killing the world to change color, which was extremely fierce. But the eyes of the people couldn't care less about looking at them, and the eyes of the audience were all focused on Long Chen and the silver-haired King Kong. Although people have never seen the silver-haired King Kong, and most people don't know the origin of the silver-haired King Kong, but they can also guess from the fearful eyes and serious expressions of the ancestors that this person is the most terrifying existence in the audience. The 9-star lineage is a group of confident idiots from top to bottom, otherwise, they would not become prey to be hunted down. You, a bereaved dog who can only live in hiding, dare to speak nonsense in front of me? Silver-haired King Kong looked at Long Chen, with the corners of his mouth raised, his eyes full of disdain and ridicule. Although he knew that the silver-haired King Kong was deliberately irritating himself, but when he mentioned the 9 stars, Long Chen's killing intent surged wildly, and even the stars around him began to tremble violently. Today, if you are allowed to leave Long Yu alive, my name, Long Chen, will be written backwards from now on. Long Chen shouted angrily. Boom! As Long Chen roared, the starry sky above his head trembled, and the originally constant stars began to circulate regularly, faster and faster. As they circulated, the power of the vast stars poured into Long Chen's body, his breath, in the crazy promotion. Idiot, it seems that you have no idea what the 8 great gods mean. Now, I have absorbed Ing Bufei's power and mastered a trace of the power of the Imperial Way. However, this trace of the power of the Imperial Way will let you see what a desperate power is. Boom! The silver-haired remnant Kong formed seals with his hands, and there was a loud noise, and behind him, the king of shrouding the sky emerged. When the throne came out, even the Dragon King felt suffocated. The throne of God is still the throne of God, but under the blessing of that trace of imperial power, its aura is many times stronger than when Long Chen saw it for the first time. Obviously, the stronger the silver-haired King Kong is, the greater the power that the throne of God can exert. When the throne appears for 9 days, the law of 10,000 ways must be surrendered. Hum, hum. When the silver-haired remnant Kong showed the blade of God's command, Long Chen's Kiel Xiaoyu was already in his hand, and the two looked at each other with endless murderous intent. "Burn it, Xinghai!" Long Chen roared, and suddenly saw hundreds of millions of stars in the sea of stars, turning into endless meteors, intertwined crazily, and the fire of the stars ignited the sky and the earth. Boom! At that moment, Long Chen's aura suddenly rose to an unprecedented height, and even those Dragon Emperor powerhouses felt their bodies suddenly sink, and their bones creaked under the pressure. "Long Yu is sinking!" Mo Yang exclaimed. "What level of power is this?" Qi Wufeng and the others yelled in shock. Even at such a long distance, Long Chen's star power crushed their souls to the point of bursting. At that moment, even the expression of the silver-haired King Kong changed. "Chaos Star C? How is this possible?" Now Long Chen's aura evoked his distant memories, but Long Chen didn't give him time to be shocked at all. The Dragon Bone Evil Moon in his hand pointed directly at the sky, and endless starlight poured into the Dragon Bone Evil Moon. 7 styles in one. With a roar, Long Chen slashed down Xinghe, his breath overwhelming the universe, and he slashed at the silver-haired residual sky. Chapter 5491. This was already the third encounter between Long Chen and Een-haired King Kong. Although Long Chen couldn't figure out the bottom line of Een-haired King Kong, he knew that this time he couldn't take advantage of Een-haired King Kong and had to fight hard. Of course, Long Chen has already made full preparations for this battle, and there is no need to resort to tricks. He wants to have a real confrontation with the silver-haired King Kong. As soon as Long Chen came up, it was the fiercest lore. The 7 forms of opening the sky merged into one, and the 8-star battle body was opened to the extreme. Under the burning of the star sea, endless power poured into Long Chen's body and the Keel Evil Moon. At this time, Long Chen and Dragon Bone Shiyue, the human knife united, and the murderous aura was boundless. The Dragon Bone Shiyue knife was surrounded by black air, gushing wildly, like a demon breathing, and the twinkling stars were like billions of pairs of demon eyes. The killing intent had locked onto the silver-haired King Kong. At that moment, the silver-haired King Kong realized that the Long Chen at this time was no longer the Long Chen he met at the beginning, and he had already flown to a height that even shocked him. "Throne of God, bless me," the silver-haired remnant shouted angrily. The throne of God glowed behind him, endless divine splendor poured in. The divine splendor blade in his hand trembled crazily. The vast divine power caused the universe to turbulent, splitting apart forever. Brahma God slash, facing Long Chen's berserk blow, the silver-haired King Kong didn't dare to be careless, and also resorted to the ultimate move. Boom! When the Keel Shiyue slashed on the blade of divine brilliance, a loud noise erupted, and a black ripple spread rapidly in the midst of the disillusionment of the world. Boom! Where the black ripples passed, the space began to dislocate and collapse, the laws of heaven and earth became chaotic, and the avenue runes were crushed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Jie Wanlong Shield, seeing the black ripples, the patriarch of the Bailong clan turned pale with fright, and roared loudly. At the same time, he formed seals with both hands. Boom! Tens of thousands of dragon nests emerged slowly, and tens of thousands of dragon nests emerged in a moment, all of which were the strongest 10,000 dragon nests of the White Dragon clan. Reminded by the ancestors of the White Dragon clan, the other ancestors simultaneously summoned the strongest level 10,000 dragon nests of their clan. Hundreds of thousands of 10,000 dragon nests gathered together to form a war fortress to block everyone in front. As soon as the battle fortress was assembled, there was a shocking explosion, and the black ripples slammed into it, and hundreds of thousands of dragon nests were directly blown away. However, with the efforts of the ancestors, the terrifying ripples were finally blocked. Although the aftermath was still scary, it could not threaten the lives of the strong dragon clan. But the aftermath, the gale that was set off, was still like a steel knife, which made people's skin hurt, almost torn apart. Puff puff. The ancestors on Longia's side stood up and blocked this wave of attack forcefully, but the strong men of the Yinglong clan and the Bone Dragon clan didn't even have a chance to escape, and were hit head-on by the terrifying ripples. They also resisted, but like ants resisting a millstone, they were instantly crushed, and the tens of millions of strong men from the two races were instantly wiped out. Not only the Yinglong clan and the Bone Dragon clan, but the defense position of the ancestors of the Dragon clan is limited to the dragon domain behind them. All the powerhouses of the Dark Dragon clan who were not behind them were all wiped out by this terrifying ripple. Of the endless powerhouses of the Dark Dragon clan, only millions of stragglers are left, shivering in the distance. Now that the Dragon clan wants to kill them, it is easy, but at this time, they are no longer in the eyes of the Dragon clan. They only care about Long Chen and the silver-haired King Kong, which determines the life and death of Long Yu. What big Brahma, what 8 great gods, you are a group of shameless traitors, how dare you be arrogant in front of your third master Long. The Brahma despicably attacked Emperor Dan back then, put her to death, chased and killed countless reincarnations, and committed a heinous crime. Today, I will use your head to declare war on Brahma. I Long Chen, swear to the heavens and all worlds that one day, I will behead the heads of Brahma and Luo Tian'e. Long Chen roared and shook the sky, his face was ferocious. Looking at the silver hair and feeling the power of faith in him, Long Chen thought of Brahma, of Emperor Dan, and of the scene of Brahma chasing and killing Emperor Dan in reincarnation. Every time he saw Emperor Dan die looking at the picture, Long Chen felt like a knife was twisting his heart. Yu Qingxian was Emperor Dan, and Emperor Dan was Yu Qingxian. The image of Yu Qingxian dying in front of him in the Tianwu continent's world annihilation battle now emerged in his mind. Long Chen once again let out a shocking roar. At this time, he was like a wounded beast, falling into extreme madness. Black spots appeared in his eyes, and the fire of the stars behind him was burning crazily. Boom, boom, boom. The violent power erupted, and the dragon bone Shiyue pressed the silver-haired King Kong's god's blade, and the silver-haired King Kong suddenly felt a huge force coming, as if the entire sky was pressed down, and it kept retreating. Every time the silver-haired remnant Kong takes a step back, the void under his feet is exploded, and the earth is directly turned into nothingness. The scene of annihilation made the scalps of the experts in Longyu feel numb. Even the ancestors of the Dragon Emperor level couldn't help but be shocked. How could such a terrifying power be possessed by a small heavenly saint? Not to mention that it is the end of the Dharma era. Even if they were in the ancient times, they have never seen such a terrifying Tianjiao. Boom, boom, boom. The silver-haired remnant Kong was pushed back again and again by Long Chen. He tried to stabilize his figure several times, but he couldn't stand still in front of Long Chen's berserk star power. Seeing Long Chen gnashing his teeth, with a ferocious face, black spots in his eyeballs, and that cold look in his eyes, he couldn't help shivering. He was too familiar with that look. The owner of that look was dressed in white, but it made him feel terrified. Although he knew that Long Chen was not that person at this time, that look still terrified him. The divine way is boundless. The divine power is boundless. All dharmas return to their seats, and the power of Brahma, open. The silver-haired King Kong gritted his teeth and roared. Suddenly, his pupils dilated, and a figure appeared inside, which was the appearance of Brahma. Boom! With a loud bang, thousands of roads burst apart, and black cracks radiated, covering the entire sky in an instant. Long Chen's whole body shook violently, the impact was blocked, and the two of them flew upside down at the same time. There was an explosion under Long Chen's feet, and the person stopped above the void, with his left foot behind and his right foot in front, his body half bent, and the dragon bone Xia resisted on his shoulders. At this time, he was like a long bow fully drawn. The monstrous killing intent has already aimed at the silver-haired King Kong. Brahma Long Chen stared at the pupils of the silver-haired remnant Kong, his long hair standing on end, and seeing the figure of Brahma made him even more angry. Shiyue, are you okay? I'm going to explode with all my strength. Long Chen gritted his teeth. Don't worry, the strength that I can bear now is almost unlimited. Dragon Bone Shiyue was also full of fighting spirit at this time. That's good. Today I will fight to the death with him. Behind Long Chen, 2 wings emerged, 1 thunder and 1 fire, 1 purple and 1 red. When the 2 wings emerged, The power of thunder and flames between heaven and earth was instantly sucked dry. The waving moon shocks the sky. Longchen roared. Above the evil moon on the keel, the stars flowed, the thunder and fire runes burned, the long knife swung down, and a waning moon shot out. Chapter 5492. A crescent broke away from the keel evil moon, and rapidly enlarged, covering the eternal dome, splitting the entire world. The crescent moon is like a sickle of death, covered with stars, and at the same time, endless thunder and flames are intertwined. Its power can swallow the sky, and it can destroy all generations. When the crescent moon shot out, tearing apart the universe, the world was silent, and the sound of the whole world was swallowed by this huge crescent moon. People can only see where the crescent moon passes. The vitality between the heaven and the earth is sucked to nothing, and the whole world shows signs of withering. Even the ancestors of the dragon clan have never seen such a strange trick in their endless years of life, and their eyes are full of horror. The huge crescent slashed at the silver-haired King Kong, and the silver-haired King Kong trembled in soul, trembling all over, and the strong threat of death made him feel terrified. He never dreamed that Long Chen could control such a terrifying power. This knife had locked him firmly, and he could only block it. Possessed by the throne of the gods, returned to the original, immortal, lawless. The silver-haired remnant Kong formed a seal with his hands, and there was a rune burning between his eyebrows. Golden blood gushed out from the center of his eyebrows, covering his whole body in an instant, and his whole body was like a golden statue. The throne of God behind him merged with it in an instant, and at that moment, there was a trace of godly aura on him. However, at this time, the silver hair was left empty, and it aged a lot in an instant, and the shiny silver hair instantly withered and turned gray. The originally 30-year-old man instantly turned into an old man, with silver hair and empty eyes filled with murderous intent, and let out a terrifying roar. "Let me use the technique of divine sacrifice to reduce my lifespan, you damned little bastard, I will make you regret coming to this world." The silver-haired King Kong thought that after swallowing in buffet, he could easily suppress Long Chen with a trace of the spirit of the emperor. After capturing him alive, he forced him to hand over the Qiankuan cauldron. But he never expected that after Long Chen came back from the chaotic battlefield, the power of the stars had undergone a shocking change, and he was no longer the Long Chen he used to be. He had to burn his lifespan and sacrifice the bleeding soul in order to achieve a stronger fit with the throne of God and gain more power. Shield of the throne. The silver-haired King Kong opened his big hand, and a giant shield of thousands of miles appeared in front of him. The giant shield was golden in color, and endless blood flowed. It was the combination of his life essence and blood, soul, and the power of the throne, and became his strongest defensive stance. Boom! The strongest shield of the silver-haired residual space has just been condensed, and Long Chen's shocking knife has been cut down. This time, there was a sound in the world, and the moment the sword and shield collided, people saw a golden sun, and the sun exploded. Open, zoom in rapidly. Boom! The 9 heavens cracked, thousands of voices wailed, the golden shield was slashed by Long Chen, and the golden runes shot out, piercing the heavens and the earth, forming densely packed holes. The ancestors of the dragon clan had already set up defenses. However, although the distance was far this time, the golden runes came through the air like sharp swords and hit their defenses, making a deafening explosion. The ancestor-level powerhouses withstood the biggest impact. Each of them was shocked so much that their chests ached and they almost vomited blood. They looked shocked. This is still blessed by Wanlong Nest. If there is no Wanlong Nest, they alone will be injured. You know, this is just the aftermath of the battle. How can Long Chen, a heavenly saint, possess such terrifying power? Boom! Myriad Dao collapsed, time and space runes flew, and people faintly saw the silver-haired remnant Kong spurt out a mouthful of blood, and flew out backwards. Immediately afterwards, people saw a black figure rushing toward the silver-haired void like a bolt of lightning. Because the void was distorted, they couldn't see the scene of the two fighting head-on. Boom! There was a loud explosion, and a figure flew out of the twisted void. The man spurted blood wildly, and the arm holding the sword was already bloody, and it was the silver-haired residual space. Apparently, in a place that people couldn't see, Long Chen and Een-haired King Kong fought hard, and Een-haired King Kong was severely injured, and the flesh and blood on one arm was blown away. At this time, the experts in Longyu were stunned from top to bottom. Originally, at this time, they should cheer and encourage Long Chen to boost their morale. However, Long Chen's performance was so scary that they even forgot to breathe. At this time, Long Chen was like a demon reborn in hell. His eyes were as sharp as a knife, and his murderous intent was soaring to the sky. The murderous aura, even at an endless distance, still made people tremble. Currently used, the app with the most complete and best audio for listening to books, integrated with 4 major speech synthesis engines, over 100 kinds of timbres, and an artifact that supports offline reading, Huanyuan app. ComSource app. The current Long Chen seems to be no longer the Long Chen they knew. The current Long Chen has only killing and destruction in his eyes, which is frightening. Fire Lotus. Just as the silver-haired man flew upside down, a flaming lotus, like a shooting star, whizzed out with a long tail, and at the same time, the sacred and solemn sound of chanting resounded through the heavens and worlds. On the flaming lotus, endless golden crows were flying, and as soon as it appeared, the power of the flames in the entire world was instantly sucked dry by him. What? Qi Wufeng among the crowd was shocked to find that his natal flame was rapidly decaying and was absorbed by the flame lotus, but he couldn't resist. At this time, he finally understood what Long Chen said at the beginning. The power of the flames he was proud of was just a drop in the ocean in front of Long Chen. Boom! With a shocking explosion, the flaming meteor hit the body of the silver-haired King Kong, and the lotus flower and the golden crow exploded. A huge black hole was blasted out of the void. Everyone was shocked by such a terrifying power. Even the 8 space gates in the void shook for a while, becoming flickering. However, just when people thought that the silver-haired King Kong would be blasted to pieces, the shrouding throne emerged, and the sacred and magnificent aura wrapped the silver-haired King Kong, flying out of the twisted black hole. Is this not dead? Mo Yang and the others were horrified. At this time, their silver hair was empty, their clothes were torn, and they were in a panic. Obviously, even with the throne of God, they could not completely withstand the power of this blow. World-destroying lightning, however, just as the silver-haired King Kong rushed out, there was a loud shout, and a star composed of endless thunder had long been waiting for him and slammed into him fiercely. Boom! There was another earth-shattering explosion. This blow came too suddenly, because the Mishi Huoyan attracted everyone's attention before, and no one noticed it, nor expected that such terrifying attacks could be carried out continuously. The range of thunder erupting was not large, but it was more concentrated. People only heard silver-haired King Kong scream. When he flew out again, people were completely stunned. At this time, his silver hair was empty, his body was covered in blood, and the endless lightning runes and flame runes all over his body were still burning his body crazily. The burnt smell could be smelled from a long distance away. At this time, Long Chen came again, and the dragon bone Xiaoyu was like a life-threatening blade, slashing towards the silver-haired residual. Chapter 5493. Boom! The dragon bone Xiaoyu slashed down, and the silver-haired residual sky roared angrily, and swung the blade of the gods to resist, but there was a loud explosion, and the silver-haired residual sky spurted blood again, and flew backwards far away. At this time, Long Chen, carrying the power of the stars in the sky, was unstoppable. His long hair fluttered and his robe fluttered, like a heavenly emperor descended into the world, and he surrendered forever. Do you only have this little strength? If you still refuse to exert your full strength, you will never have another chance. Long Chen snorted coldly, holding the Keel Evil Moon, stepping on the void, killing the silver-haired cripple flying backwards like a bolt of lightning. Minglong Tianfeng, you idiot, do you still want Emperor Dragon Nilin from Longyu? This seat wants you, the Dark Dragon clan, to help. Are you here to eat shit? Quickly summon the power of the Underworld Emperor for me. The silver-haired King Kong roared at the Minglong Tianfeng in the distance, and at the same time, the blade of the gods in his hands slashed out again. Boom! With a loud bang, the god's blade in silver-haired King Kong's hand was blown away, and he coughed up blood. Roll! At this moment, Minglong Tianfeng roared in the distance. Suddenly, the earth shook and endless blood energy rose, converging into rivers and pouring into Minglong Tianfeng's body. Boom! With his roar, Guoran, Yu Zifeng and others who were besieging him were directly blown away by a berserk force. Be careful, that's the dragon blood sacrifice. Seeing this scene, the ancestors of the Bailong clan shouted loudly. Boom! On the ground, the corpses of countless powerful members of the Minglong clan shriveled rapidly, and the blood essence remaining in their bodies and the blood essence scattered on the ground all rushed towards Minglong Tianfeng. Puff puff. In the distance, those fishes of the Nether Dragon clan who slipped through the net looked terrified. They fled quickly, but as soon as their bodies moved, they exploded one by one, turning into a blood mist that filled the sky, and the blood mist instantly condensed together. Bloody rivers flowed towards the underworld dragon peak. So cruel, Guoran looked horrified. Even the living clansmen of Minglong Tianfeng sacrificed together. Silver-haired King Kong, you idiot, you clearly said that everything is under control, and you invited us here just to show your grandeur. As a result, our Minglong clans suffered heavy losses. A piece of Emperor Dragon's reverse scale can't make up for the loss of my Nether Dragon clan, and now you want me to use the power of the Underworld Emperor? You owe me a huge favor to my Nether Dragon clan. Hell Dragon Tianfeng was bathed in endless blood of Hell Dragon and roared loudly. Silver-haired King Kong heard the roar of Minglong Tianfeng. He dared to scold him, and was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but at this moment he had to rely on the power of Minglong Tianfeng, so he could only bear it, and he said loudly, "For this matter, I owe you a favor, and I will pay you back in the future." Laugh. Suddenly a sword chi pierced through the void and slashed towards Minglong Tianfeng. As a result, the sword chi exploded a few feet away from Minglong Tianfeng. An invisible force blocked Yu Zifeng's sword. At this moment, Yu Zifeng's expression changed, as did Guoran's and others' expressions. Yu Zifeng's attack power was the strongest among all of them. Even one of his swords can't injure Minglong Tianfeng at all, so at this time, Minglong Tianfeng has reached a height that they can't reach. Could it be the power of the Underworld Emperor? Bai Xiaola had a look of astonishment on his face. Don't worry, we still have another move. Guoran gritted his teeth. At the same time, he waved his hand and retreated quickly. At the same time, Dragon Blood warriors rushed out from the dragon team and joined Guoran and others. Everyone looked at Minglong Tianfeng from the air. Long Chen continued to chase the silver-haired King Kong, and suddenly the silver-haired King Kong figure flashed, filled with blood, and disappeared in place. When it reappeared, it had already arrived at the back of Minglong Tianfeng. Long Chen, you are very arrogant, but your arrogance ends here. Today you all have to die. Underworld Dragon Peak was surrounded by blood, the aura of the Emperor flowed, and under the blessing of the laws of the underworld, his voice changed and became extremely low. Every word made the universe tremble, and all the ways were echoed by him. Obviously, it was Minglong Tianfeng who made the move. He pulled the silver-haired King Kong behind him. He didn't want the silver-haired King Kong to die. At the same time, he wanted to use this method to formally declare war on Long Chen and let everyone know. Who is the protagonist here? Call. With a big wave of Long Chen's hand, the Keel Shiwei carried it on his shoulders. At this time, Long Chen's face remained unchanged, and his killing intent remained undiminished, and he walked towards Minglong Tianfeng step by step. Boom! Every time Long Chen took a step, the heavens and the earth trembled. He had the sea of stars above his head, his feet stepped on the universe, and the 8 stars behind him flowed, illuminating the whole world. Keel Xie was on his shoulders, endless black air was falling, and Long Chen was dragging a black horse forward. The scene was so shocking that it made people forget to breathe. Is this arrogant? That only means that you have never seen the world, and I will let you see what real arrogance is. Long Chen stepped forward and said coldly. His voice is not loud, but even amidst the roar of thousands of roads, it can still be heard clearly. His pace was not fast, but he stepped forward step by step, and he was confident and free, as if there was nothing in this world that could stop his footsteps. Soon, Long Chen walked to Guoran and the others, and Guoran immediately sent a voice transmission to Long Chen, "Boss. You don't need to do anything now, leave everything to me. Don't use your last move lightly. It is the key to our victory." Long Chen responded. The sound transmission between Long Chen and Guoran is transmitted by the power of dragon blood. Unless you have the power of dragon blood, it is impossible to capture the sound transmission between them. Guoran and the others nodded. Seeing what Long Chen said, they slowly retreated back to the dragon camp. At this time, the eyes of all the strong men in Longyu were focused on Long Chen. Now, those rebellious dragon clan arrogances, no matter what era they are, look at Long Chen at this time, and what they see in their eyes is only awe and admiration. The most admirable thing about Long Chen is his innate invincible belief and will. No matter what kind of strong man he faces or what kind of changes he faces, Long Chen's confidence is always as firm as a rock. And Long Chen's self-confidence can easily drive other people's emotions, and being with Long Chen always makes people feel at ease. Long Chen raised his hands and raised his feet, showing the demeanor of a strong man, in line with the image of a hero in everyone's heart. That kind of imagination is almost perfect. In reality, almost no one can do it. But today, Long Chen has done it. No matter how proud the arrogance of the Dragon Clan is, there is only endless worship for Long Chen at this time. Maybe what they worship is not Long Chen, but the invincible temperament of Long Chen. Use the blood of my underworld dragon to call upon the will of the underworld emperor. The laws of the underworld will be applied to me, the power of the underworld emperor will be attached to me, and the underworld emperor's rune will appear. Minglong Tianfeng roared. Boom, the wings cut off by Yu Zifeng on his back regenerated, and the endless sea of blood around him was burning, and finally turned into a black rune, which appeared on his forehead. When the rune appeared, all the strong people present trembled. It was as if the heavens and worlds were pressing on them. Wake up, idiot, the law of the dead is heaven. Minglong Tianfeng's face was ferocious, and his hands were sealed. Suddenly, the 8 gates in the sky burst open at the same time, and the 8 big hands that covered the sky grabbed Long Chen at the same time. Chapter 5494 8 big hands that cover the sky protrude from the 8 doors of space. Each big hand is as black as ink, like the claws of a devil, covering the sky and the sun. They carried supreme laws, and even possessed the power of destroying heaven and earth. The moment they appeared, the ancestor-level powerhouses of the Dragon Clan discovered to their horror that they could not move. This is the terrified look on their faces. This kind of power can actually be accompanied by the power of sealing. Even the existence of their level, in front of that power, is like ants. Boom! The 8 big hands that covered the sky grabbed Long Chen at the same time. At that moment, the void was imprisoned, and time seemed to stand still. Long Chen was shocked to find that he couldn't do anything. He could only watch the 8 big hands surround him. At that moment, Long Chen's head was spinning rapidly, and suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. Shit, I forgot about it. Boom! The 8 big hands are like an 8-fold prison, surrounding and trapping Long Chen tightly. At the same time, the 8 forces pushing forward rapidly, and the violent pressure immediately make Long Chen's blood surge, and he is almost crushed. Ka ka ka. Long Chen was carrying the dragon bone Xieyu. His body was bent, his bones creaked, his legs trembled, as if the weight of the heavens and worlds were pressing on him, and his bones were about to shatter at any time. Boss! Guoran and the others were horrified. No one thought that the power of the underworld dragon Sky Peak against Long Chen was not his own power, but the power of the laws of the underworld. The most frightening thing is that Guoran and others were also imprisoned by the law of space, unable to move. Watching Long Chen fall into a desperate situation, there is no way. Buzz buzz. However, on the entire battlefield, There was a person who was not suppressed by the laws of the underworld. The long sword in his hand roared, and the violent will of the sword turned into hundreds of millions of runes of the sword, smashing the endless laws of the devil world and protecting him in it. Zifeng, seeing this scene, Guoran and the others were overjoyed. Yu Zifeng was not affected by the laws of the underworld. As long as he attacked Hell Dragon Tianfeng and interrupted his spells, Long Chen could get out of trouble. Yu Zifeng slashed out with a sword. The fierce sword energy pierced through the void, split all roads, and slashed straight to Minglong Tianfeng. This sword carried everyone's hope. At that moment, the hearts of Guoran and the others rose to their throats. Boom! However, this sword chi did not reach the Minglong Tianfeng, but was hit by a sword halfway and exploded. Silver hair remaining space when they saw the person making the attack, Guoran and others gritted their teeth, and this guy actually blocked Yu Zifeng's blow at this critical moment. Yu Zifeng's complexion was a little pale, continuous bloody battles were too exhausting for him, and a swordsman was not good at protracted battles. However, at this critical moment, Yu Zifeng took a deep breath. With the long sword in his hand standing in front of him, a stern look flashed in his eyes, and he was about to make a move. Boom! There was a shocking explosion in the distance, and everyone couldn't help but turn their heads to look, only to see Long Chen's body was covered in blood, and his lowered body was slowly lifted up. Every time his body was raised, the sky above his head would rise. There will be a large area of cracks, and the scene stunned everyone. Pluto? What kind of thing are you? You have been beheaded by the Lord of 9 Stars with only a trace of remnant soul left, and you dare to show off your might in front of the 9 Stars? You, a defeated general and a bereaved dog, can also make your third master Long bow his head? Long Chen's roar resounded throughout the world, like the roar of a demon, like the roar of a god of war. His voice was getting louder and louder, every word contained the courage to look down on the 9 heavens and the universe. Boom! The Keel Shiyue was carried on his shoulders, his body stood up bit by bit, the void above his head kept collapsing, and the endless chains of order shattered one after another. He is like a god emperor, standing under the sky, as if there is no power in this world that can overwhelm him. Ignorant idiot, even if you want to die, I will help you. Minglong Tianfeng was shocked when he saw that Long Chen had resisted the magic spell that contained the will of the Emperor of the Underworld, but his eyes were also full of jealousy. Minglong Tianfeng formed seals with both hands, and suddenly the 8 space gates burst open, forming 8 huge space vortexes. The moment the space vortex formed, the violent power of the underworld doubled in an instant. At that moment, everyone in the dragon domain spewed out a mouthful of blood. They felt that their bodies were about to be crushed and their souls were about to be crushed. You know, most of this terrifying coercion was concentrated on Long Chen, and they looked at Long Chen with horror. Boom! The broken chains of order around Long Chen healed rapidly and became thicker, and they bound towards Long Chen like mountains and seas. Stop, you idiot, what I want is to live, you can't kill him. Silver-haired King Kong couldn't help being shocked and angry when he saw this scene and cursed. However, at this time, Minglong Tianfeng didn't care about the silver-haired residual space at all. He wanted Long Chen to die now because Long Chen's strength made him feel jealous and fearful. Only when Long Chen died would he peace of mind. Don't fight against its will, act according to the plan. Qin Kuan Ding said anxiously. It knew Long Chen's plan, but at this time Long Chen didn't follow the plan at all, and began to challenge the will of the Underworld Emperor. Once this stubborn temper came up, all the plans were disrupted. However, Long Chen ignored Qin Kuan Ding's reminder and continued to bear the terrifying coercion, as if he wanted to compete with the will of the Underworld Emperor. Qin Kuan Ding was so angry that he almost cursed. Now he regrets that he recognized Long Chen as the master so early. If he didn't recognize the master, it could attack by itself and fight against the power of the law. But now that it has recognized its master, it cannot act independently against Long Chen's will, and can only watch Long Chen act recklessly like a donkey. At this time, Long Chen was covered in blood, his skin was cracked, his eyes were red, and he looked crazy. Yu Zifeng, who was about to make a move, slowly withdrew his long sword at this time, because he knew that Long Chen was going to compete with the will of the Underworld Emperor, although he also knew that if Long Chen lost, he would definitely die. But he knew that Long Chen didn't want him to make a move. Boom! Long Chen trembled all over his body. Facing the pressure of the Underworld Emperor's will and the laws of the Underworld, he gritted his teeth and died. His blood was all over his body, and he was in a bit of a state of embarrassment, but the killing intent of Ling Tian became more and more fierce. Boom! Suddenly, there was a shocking explosion, and the endless chain of order around Long Chen shattered, and the aura that was about to explode the heavens and the world disappeared in an instant. At that moment, everyone resumed their actions. People were shocked. They looked at Long Chen. At this moment, two beautiful figures appeared behind Long Chen. The shadows of the beautiful women are blurred, but they can be seen clearly in black clothes and black dresses, with their long hair flying, and their faces cannot be seen clearly, but just from the blurred figures, they can feel their peerless grace. Long Chen was covered in blood, but black spots appeared in the blood, and these black spots slowly rushed to his back, and finally poured into the two figures. The power of the underworld god? How is this possible? At this time, Minglong Tianfeng was also stunned. He opened his mouth wide with a look of disbelief. Chapter 5495. Guoran and the others were also stunned when they saw those two figures. They couldn't believe their eyes. How could they show up? Not only were they stunned, but even Long Chen himself didn't expect that he had the blood-soul power of Leng Yueyan and Ming Zanyue. What he didn't know was that he once had a bond with Leng Yueyan and Ming Zanyue. They were the bodies of gods. After the combination, the power of blood-soul was buried in his body. In fact, such a thing, not to mention Long Chen, even Leng Yueyan and Ming Zanyue were confused when they came. Now, under the oppression of the Hades Emperor's will and the laws of the underworld, their blood and soul power has been awakened rapidly. At the most critical moment, they rushed out to protect Long Chen and help Long Chen counteract the laws of the underworld. Their appearance helped Long Chen offset the oppression of the law of the underworld, and the pressure on Long Chen was greatly reduced, bursting the chain of order in the sky in an instant. When the oppression of the law of the underworld disappeared, the figures of Leng Yueyan and Ming Zanyue also slowly disappeared, and finally turned into small spots, and finally merged into Long Chen's body. Although they disappeared, there are still vast laws of the underworld in the world, but the laws of the underworld at this time can no longer be enemies with Long Chen. They have changed from ferocious tigers to docile sheep. Although Long Chen is still unable to control the laws of the underworld, they can no longer cause harm to Long Chen. Everyone was dumbfounded at this scene. Only Hades Dragon Peak could feel the aura of the gods of the underworld on Long Chen, but he couldn't understand how a human race could have the blood of the gods of the underworld. In this way, all the environment he worked so hard to create was wasted, and it would no longer have any effect on Long Chen. Unexpectedly, you still have this hand, but even so, you can't be the opponent of the great son of the underworld emperor. Minglong Tianfeng waved his hand, pointed the dragon gun at Long Chen and said, "Your star power is already fading, and I, with the blessing of the Underworld Emperor's divine brilliance, have inexhaustible power. How can you fight me?" Minglong Tianfeng's words made everyone's hearts tremble. When they looked at Long Chen, they did find that Long Chen's star fire began to show signs of decay. Just now he fought against the will of the Underworld Emperor, consuming too much power of the stars, and his combat effectiveness has already begun to decline. "Although I don't have much strength, it should be okay to kill you." Long Chen snorted coldly, carrying the Kiel Shiyue, stepping into the void, and walked towards Minglong Tianfeng and Yinfa Kinkong step by step. At this time, the silver-haired remnant Kong was always behind Minglong Tianfeng. There were strange flames circulating around him. No one knew what he was doing, but it was expected that he would not do anything good. When Minglong Tianfeng saw Long Chen coming, he couldn't help taking a half step back, but at the moment of taking half a step back, his anger erupted instantly. He is the son of the great underworld emperor. Taking this half step back means that he has a heart of fear for Long Chen, and it also means that he cannot maintain his invincible will in front of Long Chen, and he was frightened by Long Chen. Thinking of this, Minglong Tianfeng was shocked and angry. He couldn't accept this fact, and immediately roared up to the sky. Dragon blood burns, refines the soul and leads to the underworld. Minglong Tianfeng roared, and in the vision behind him, 1,000 miles of Minglong emerged. As soon as the Minglong came out, a raging fire suddenly ignited, lighting up the sky. Is this Minglong Tianfeng crazy? He actually burned his body? At that moment, the eyes of all the strong dragons were about to pop out. They can't understand the behavior of Minglong Tianfeng. The body is the root of Minglong Tianfeng. Burning the body is tantamount to self-destructing the foundation. What is the difference between this and suicide? He is the son of the underworld emperor. Even if his flesh and blood are burned, he is not afraid. As long as the keel is still there, he can repair it when he returns to the underworld. The law of the underworld could no longer suppress Long Chen, so he had to use this method to improve his strength and compete with Long Chen. The ancestor of the Bailong clan explained. The underworld dragon clan betrayed the dragon clan and has been living in the underworld. Some instincts and supernatural powers have mutated, so the dragon clan doesn't know much about them. However, the Bailong family has special perception ability and can peek into some of the mysteries. Boom! While everyone was talking, Minglong Tianfeng's keel spear and Long Chen's keel shiyue fiercely slashed together. Amidst the shocking explosion, Long Chen and Minglong Tianfeng retreated at the same time. However, as soon as the two retreated, they rushed towards each other again, with swords and guns flying, and the wind howling. The attacks of the two were like a violent storm, and they fought hundreds of moves in one breath. Originally, Yu Zifeng and the others were extremely worried about Long Chen, but after hundreds of moves, they immediately felt relieved. But Mo Yang, Xie Qianzhong and others were still worried about Long Chen, because the two of them were fighting with swords and guns, and the winner could be determined at any time, so they had to be nervous. Don't worry, if he can't gain an absolute advantage in the first move, he must be the one who loses in the end. Guoran couldn't help but said when he saw that everyone was extremely nervous. But Mo Yang and the others were puzzled. You must know that Long Chen's consumption rate was faster than that of Minglong Tianfeng. After hundreds of moves, Long Chen's physical strength dropped significantly, but Minglong Tianfeng was still in a strong state. My boss has experienced hundreds of battles. The longer the battle lasts, the more powerful he will be. Even if the boss' physical strength begins to decline, I believe that the boss will definitely win. Guoran said. Boom! As soon as Guoran's words fell, there was a shocking explosion, and the dragon bone shiyue was blown away with a shot from Minglong Tianfeng. At that moment, everyone exclaimed. Just now they said that Long Chen would win, but now it has changed. The ancestors were horrified, they almost didn't even think about it. People rushed out like lightning, ready to rescue Long Chen. At this time, Minglong Tianfeng swung down his fist, and endless avenue runes gathered on his fist. On his fist, a pattern that looked like a dragon's head and a devil appeared, and smashed at Long Chen. Underworld cracks the sky, Minglong Tianfeng roared, which was a once-in-lifetime opportunity for him. Although he shot Long Chen's keel shiyue away, his arms were also numb from the shock, and he couldn't use his strength. Unleash a full-blown blow with the other hand. This blow contained all the power of Minglong Tianfeng, but when the punch was released, he saw a strange smile on Long Chen's face. Then he saw a giant dragon appearing in the divine ring behind Long Chen, and a deafening roar came from his ears. Long Chen's starry sky battle suit disappeared, replaced by a blood-colored dragon scale battle armor and a dragon scale cloak. Long Xiao shook the sky, sacred and magnificent, and went straight into the depths of people's souls. On Long Chen's big hand, the bloody 10 flowed, and he slapped it out. The moment this palm was slapped, the dragon shadow behind Long Chen, the cloak, and the dragon scales on his body all disappeared, and all his strength was drained by the bloody cross. Emperor's blood seal, cross destroyer god. Long Chen stopped drinking, and slammed his big hand on Minglong Tianfeng's fist. Chapter 5496, Boom, Long Chen's palm was printed on Minglong Tianfeng's fist. The fist that gathered all the power of Minglong Tianfeng could split the sky, but it was smashed by Long Chen's palm. The cross in Long Chen's palm cut through the void, the vertical part cut off the shoulder blades of Minglong Tianfeng, and the horizontal part cut him in half directly at the waist. Puff, in the splash of blood light, the two parts of Minglong Tianfeng's body flew out, and the vitality was cut off in an instant. Between heaven and earth, a huge 10 character is inlaid in the void. In the blood-colored cross, endless dragon power is stirring, and the low roar of the giant dragon can be faintly heard. The dragon's power is ancient, sacred, and magnificent, which makes the universe tremble, and makes all Taos submit. It does not shatter the void, and there is no tearing law, but it is so embedded in the sky and the earth, and it will not be separated for a long time. It turns out that this is his true strength. Mo Yang's scalp tingled for a while, and only then did he realize that when Long Chen used the Emperor's blood seal, he didn't use his full strength at all. At this time, Long Chen's dragon blood power, under the squeeze of the power of the stars, exploded with all his strength. Without a trace of reservation, this blow directly killed Minglong Tianfeng. Using the power of the stars to squeeze the power of the dragon's blood, both powers are exhausted, and your power of thunder and power of fire are also exhausted. Now, what strength do you have to resist me? Ha ha! Suddenly, silver-haired Kangkong's laughter resounded between heaven and earth, and people's hearts trembled. Hell Dragon Tianfeng died, but silver-haired Kangkong was still alive. At this time, the silver hair was empty, and milky white flames glowed all over his body. In the milky white flames, human-shaped runes flowed one after another. These runes are figures sitting cross-legged. If you look carefully, it is exactly the appearance of Brahma. When these runes appear, the appearance of the silver-haired remnant Kong changes again. At this time, he has returned to his youthful appearance, his pale hair is also shining like bright silver, and in just a short while he seems to have been reborn. The silver-haired Kangkong didn't care about the death of Minglong Tianfeng. For him, Minglong Tianfeng was a pawn to consume Long Chen. At this time, Long Chen, after striking the Emperor's blood seal, the divine ring on his back disappeared, and the sea of stars dispersed. At this time, he was slightly panting, and even the dragon scales covering his body disappeared, and the star battle suit became ordinary. Hypo, at that moment, he lost all his aura. Fight with him. The ancestor of the evil dragon clan stopped drinking and stepped into the void. Seeing this, the other ancestors couldn't help but feel a headache. Even if you make a move, you have to say hello in advance. That's the silver-haired Kangkong, one of the 8 great gods. It is only by gathering everyone's strength to deal with him and cooperating with each other that everyone can have hope. As soon as this guy rushed out, even if the others were not prepared, they had to rush out together. As soon as they moved, all the powerful people in the dragon domain moved. Today's dragon clan is nothing but a group of ants. They no longer have the glory of the past. Get lost. The silver-haired remnant Kong sneered, and slashed with the divine brilliance blade in his hand, and a sword energy streaked across the void, forming a billowing air wave. Boom boom boom. There was a burst of explosion, and the ancestors of Longyu flew out with a muffled grunt. They were horrified. At this time, their silver hair was still empty, and their strength was still there, and it seemed that they hadn't been reduced much. The turbulent air wave surged, and the strong men in the dragon realm flew out backwards, and the huge 10,000 dragons' nest rolled out and was rushed far away. Fortunately, the silver-haired Kangkong's target is Long Chen, and he doesn't want to waste his energy for Longyu, otherwise, after this blow, I don't know how many strong people in Longyu will be killed. Call out that guy in white clothes. Today, I will meet him well. The silver-haired and empty long sword pointed at Long Chen and shouted coldly. Guoran and the others were stunned. They didn't understand the meaning of the silver-haired Kangkong. What is a guy in white clothes? And Long Chen looked at the silver-haired Kangkong, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. It's hidden deep enough. Everything before was deliberately showing weakness, in order to pull Minglong Tianfeng, a scapegoat. Use his laws of the underworld and the power of the Emperor of the underworld to consume my strength. Now that my strength is exhausted, you jumped out to show off your power again. Not bad, child. I am very pleased that you have grown up. Papa. After Long Chen finished speaking, he still didn't forget to applaud the silver-haired King Kong. Long Chen's tone was like an elder educating the younger generation, which looked so funny. However, at this tense moment of life and death, no one could laugh. However, Long Chen's calm appearance and peaceful tone made everyone feel at ease. It seemed that everything in front of him was within Long Chen's expectations, and the ancestors of the Dragon Clan who originally planned to burn the remaining lifespan to fight desperately also paused their actions at this time. The silver-haired King Kong yelled coldly, "Shut your stinky mouth, what are you, dare to teach me a lesson? Do you think that with your strength, you need me to use tricks? This seed is just curious, who is that guy in your body and what is its origin? And you, in front of me, are just an ant. Although you are a bit strong, you are still an ant. Summon him, my seat, and let him die convincingly today." Last time, the silver-haired King Kong was defeated by the white-clothed Long Chen. It can be said that it was a disastrous defeat. The haughty eyes of Long Chen in white, his indifference, seemed like a god standing above the world of mortals, looking down on all living beings. That defeat cast a shadow over the silver-haired residual space. When he went back to heal his wounds, as soon as he closed his eyes, the figure of Long Chen in white would appear in his mind. Bai Long Chen has become his inner demon, which caused his recovery to be extremely slow. After recovering, the silver-haired King Kong understood that if he wanted to get rid of this inner demon, he had to kill Bai Long Chen. And if you want to kill Long Chen in white, you have to push Long Chen into a desperate situation first. After many calculations and preparations, now Long Chen has reached the end of the mountain, and he is ready to fight against Long Chen in white. However, what silver-haired Remnant Kong didn't know was that Long Chen in white was Long Chen's heart demon. He even thought that Long Chen in white was a remnant soul hidden in the depths of Long Chen's soul, from a peerless powerhouse in the era of chaos. In fact, it cannot be blamed for the lack of knowledge of the silver-haired residual sky, because the temperament, demeanor, blood power, and soul fluctuations of Long Chen in white are completely different from Long Chen. Such existence. He even couldn't think of how a person's inner demon could be so much stronger than the deity. He came to fight Long Chen this time. Thus, your original power has been exhausted, and I can no longer feel your original breath. Now you are all supported by the power of faith, and what you use is basically the power of Brahma, right? Long Chen asked. That's right, as one of the 8 great gods, by burning the soul, sacrifice the throne, and use the power of the throne to induce the power of Brahma to possess. This requires a process, and in this process, I need to keep fighting to stimulate my fear of death in order to stimulate it. So, I asked this idiot to help me buy time. Now, I have achieved supernatural power, and the current me is my strongest state. Cut the nonsense, call that guy out, I will be ashamed. The silver-haired Remnant Kong said coldly. Long Chen shook his head and said, "Since you are so shameless and use external force to deal with me, a heavenly saint, then I am shameless too." Long Chen formed seals with his hands, and suddenly the void trembled, and then a figure appeared out of thin air. As soon as that figure appeared, the golden wings spread, blood filled the air, and the magic power soared to the sky. Everyone was shocked when they saw that huge figure. Chapter 5497, Golden Wing Demon. When they saw that creature, the ancestors of the Dragon Clan were stunned, and even the silver-haired King Kong was startled. This is a demon emperor-level powerhouse. When it appeared, its devilish aura soared to the sky. Although it had been dead for countless years, the vast power of the demon made even an ancestor-level powerhouse feel terrified. They could never have imagined that Long Chen actually had such a trump card. They could tell that the demon emperor's vitality had been cut off, and there were strange symbols in his eyes, which had been refined into puppets. But even if it is a puppet, the blood of the demon emperor is more powerful than the ancestor of the Dragon Clan. After all, with the help of the heaven-stealing formation in the wind-field battlefield, it is nourished by the chi of chaos, and its preserved power is much more than that of these ancestors. After the shock, the silver-haired King Kong sneered, "It's just a puppet, is this your trump card? Do you think you can deal with me with a demon emperor puppet? You are too naive." Boom, boom, boom. However, before he finished speaking, one golden-winged demon appeared one after another. When the 8 golden-winged demons stood in front of silver-haired King Kong was completely stunned. Not only the silver-haired King Kong was dumbfounded, but also the powerful people in the dragon realm. This kind of golden-winged celestial demon was a product of the ancient times, and it has long since disappeared in modern times. The new generation of Dragon Clan powerhouses have never seen them. Forging such a terrifying existence into a puppet, one is shocking enough, but Long Chen actually has 8, with 8 such terrifying thugs. Who can be Long Chen's opponent? Isn't this guy hiding too deeply? A group of puppets, they are just dead things, let me destroy them one by one. Seeing Long Chen sacrifice 8 puppets, the silver-haired King Kong panicked. He could no longer keep calm. Holding the blade of divine brilliance, his whole body was burning with flames. He took the initiative to attack, bypassed these puppets with a few turns, and rushed towards Long Chen like a ghost. The void was full of his phantoms, and his speed was extremely fast. The 8 golden-winged demons spread their golden wings at the same time, their magic lines flowed, and their demonic energy soared to the sky. They protected Long Chen at the same time. 16 golden wings formed a huge shield, protecting Long Chen in it. Boom, there was a shocking explosion, and the silver hair flew backwards, and the 8 golden-winged demons stepped back at the same time, and Long Chen's figure appeared. Seeing that the 8 golden-winged celestial demons blocked the strike of the silver-haired King Kong, and their wings showed no signs of damage, it can be seen how strong these 8 golden-winged celestial demons are. At this time, the strong Dragon Clan burst into cheers, but they didn't see it, but Long Chen's face became extremely ugly, murderous intent rolled in his eyes, the dragon bone Shiyue resisted on his shoulder, and he tied the knot with one hand. Print. Boom, with a bang, a golden-winged celestial demon shattered into pieces, turning into rain of blood. At that moment, everyone in the audience was shocked. Even the silver-haired King Kong was stunned. He was shocked by the powerful physical bodies of these 8 puppets just now, and he was still thinking about how to destroy them one by one. As a result, one of the puppets just exploded. Haha, so it turns out that they are just strong outsiders and they can only scare people. The silver-haired King Kong laughed, with a look of enlightenment on his face. Bang, 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 bang. These golden-winged celestial demons exploded one after the other, as if confirming the idea of the silver-haired residual space. They all exploded in the end, turning into a rain of blood. Guoran and the others were also stunned. What's going on? They couldn't understand it either. Could it be that this puppet really had a silver pewter gun head? Buzz. However, at this moment, the dragon bone evil moon on Long Chen's shoulder kept flickering, endless black air flowed, and fierce breath radiated. Long Chen's voice sounded like a murmur from a demon from hell. Why are you so unlucky? You just got a terrifying whole card, and it will be consumed before it heats up. Long Chen gritted his teeth, and his eyeballs were about to burst into flames. Just now, the 8 puppets fought with Een-haired King Kong, and Long Chen immediately judged that Een-haired King Kong's strength was extremely terrifying. If you just rely on the 8 puppets, it is still difficult to defeat him. The most important thing is that even if you defeat him, he will run away. With Long Chen's current strength, he can't keep him at all. In the end, Long Chen gritted his teeth cruelly and made a crazy decision to sacrifice all the 8 puppets in blood, and the object of their blood sacrifice was the dragon bone Xiaoyu in Long Chen's hands. Buzz! The black air filled the air, and the demonic blood scattered between the sky and the earth was wrapped in the black air, and finally all poured into the Keel evil moon, and all the demonic blood and demonic energy were sucked up. When seeing this scene, people's scalps were numb for a while, and they looked at the dragon bone evil moon on Long Chen's shoulder in disbelief. They couldn't imagine what level of weapon could withstand such a terrifying force and absorb all the blood souls and natal runes of the 8 demon emperors. Holding the dragon bone Xiaoyu, Long Chun pointed at the silver-haired residual space from a distance. Suddenly, black air filled the body of the dragon bone Xiaoyu, like hundreds of millions of ribbons, flying with the wind, covering 9 heavens and 10 places. Boom! And the silver-haired remnant Kong pointed at by Kiel Shiyue, the void under his feet exploded, the sky behind him split like a spider web, his body trembled wildly, and the violent power almost crushed him. How can this be? The silver-haired King Kong let out a terrifying roar, his voice was full of fear, a simple lock unexpectedly made him unable to move. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but retreat, because Long Chen at this time was too scary. Especially the Kiel evil moon in Long Chen's hands, filled with black air, and the evil killing intent covered the sky, and the whole world fell into infinite fear. The Kiel evil moon seemed to have been untied from the seal of the peerless demon. It seemed to be born for killing and destruction, with black silk threads flying around. It looked so ferocious and terrifying. Shiyue, I left everything to you. Long Chen gritted his teeth and said to Kiel Shiyue. At this time, Long Chen's heart was bleeding. Those are the 8 demon emperors. If you pull out anyone, you can stand alone. The most important thing is that they are not disposable consumables, they can be cultivated for a long time. But Long Chen was determined to kill the silver-haired King Kong today. He had spent all his money, and he had already spoken out his big words. Even if he gritted his teeth, he still had to do it. Stop talking nonsense, give me all your strength, and read it with me. Longu Zayu's voice changed, full of evil and wildness. The waving moon shocks the sky. Long Chen and Dragon Bone Evil Moon stopped drinking at the same time, and the black divine brilliance of Dragon Bone Evil Moon pierced the sky. At that moment, myriad ways collapsed and the galaxy fell. This knife cut off all the vitality of the entire world. I'm fighting with you! The silver hair roared furiously, and he spat out a mouthful of blood, which landed on the blade of radiance. Suddenly, his body shriveled up in an instant, and the throne of God behind his head poured into the blade of radiance in an instant. Boom! Under the horrified eyes of the people, the 2 divine soldiers were cut together. Chapter 5498 Boom! Under the gaze of hundreds of millions of eyes, Kiel Zayu's shocking slash cut through the universe, broke through the eternal fairy vault, and the silver-haired and empty long sword burst into pieces. The moment the blade of God shattered, the throne of God reappeared behind the silver-haired King Kong, but at this time, the throne of God was already translucent. Puff! Dragon Bone Xiaoyu slashed the blade of God's Gui, and the blade kept slashing heavily on the silver-haired King Kong's body. With a loud bang, the silver-haired King Kong's body burst into pieces. The moment the silver-haired empty body exploded, the primordial spirit broke away from the body, rushed into the throne of gods, and merged with the throne of gods in an instant. Long Chen, you destroy my body, you wait for me. The silver-haired King Kong let out a shocking roar. He never thought that Long Chen could control such a terrifying power. The blade of the gods and the body were all shattered, and even the throne of the gods was severely damaged. His primordial spirit entered the throne of gods, got the protection of the throne, and was about to escape. Do I allow you to go? Long Chen and Long Gu Xie stopped drinking at the same time, and with a wave of Long Chen's big hand, Kiel Xie turned into a mysterious trajectory in the void. The Kiel Evil Moon cut out the shocking divine brilliance before, but now the Kiel Evil Moon streaked across the void, and the aftermath of the world was absorbed by it for the second time, and it chopped off again. Boom! Kiel Shiyue once again slashed on the throne of gods. With a bang, the silver-haired King Kong in the throne of gods screamed, and the primordial spirit exploded and turned into nothingness. He actually did it. The voice of the ancestor of the Bailong clan trembled. That is one of the 8 great gods of Brahma. The existence that claims to be immortal was actually beheaded by Long Chen. I said before that I won't let you leave here alive today. Sanny Long has never said a single empty word in his life. This time, you should believe it. Long Chen said coldly. However, after this knife, the divine light above the dragon bone evil moon disappeared and became weak, and Long Chen himself was as pale as paper at this time, and his eyes lost their original brilliance. These two swords exhausted him and the dragon bone evil. The full power of the moon. This guy is really difficult to deal with. He could have been killed with a single blow, but he ended up in such a mess. Long Gu Xia's voice sounded like he was gnashing his teeth. Originally, it had made a guarantee with Long Chen that it would definitely be able to take care of the silver-haired residual space with one blow, and it still had some power left. In the end, this knife only killed his body, not his soul. One person, one knife, had to make temporary changes, use all the remaining power to absorb the power that has not dissipated between heaven and earth for a second time, although the power of this knife is less than half of the first knife. But Silver Hair Remnant Kong was at the end of his strength, and the throne of God was unable to protect him, so he finally killed him. The primordial spirit with silver hair and emptiness was destroyed, but the throne of God was not damaged. It trembled slightly, and then just disappeared between the heaven and the earth. After the silver-haired residual was chopped off, the Dragon Realm Powerhouse and the Dragon Blood Legion cheered loudly. After all, they won this battle. Papa! At this moment, a burst of applause resounded through the sky and earth, interrupting the cheers of everyone. Everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked for their reputation, only to see a person standing in the void, looking at them coldly. When seeing that person, everyone couldn't help exclaiming, "Hell Dragon Sky Peak?" People are shocked. Isn't Minglong Tianfeng already dead? He was cut into two pieces by Long Chen's blow of the Emperor's blood seal. His vitality was completely cut off, and he couldn't die anymore. At this time, he actually stood up, and the part of his body that disappeared has also recovered. Minglong Tianfeng clapped his hands, looked at Long Chen with a touch of appreciation in his eyes, and said, "Not bad, really good, really worthy of being the descendant of the 9 stars. This battle is very exciting." However, when he opened his mouth, people couldn't help being astonished. The voice of Minglong Tianfeng had completely changed, and it was not his voice at all. Moreover, as soon as he opened his mouth, the 8 vortexes above the void expanded rapidly, and the world was full of him. Echoes that go straight to the depths of man's soul. The terrifying majesty of the Emperor, even the Dragon King Powerhouse, felt fear. At that moment, the faces of the Dragon Clan powerhouses changed, and fear and despair appeared in their eyes, because they had already guessed that the owner of that voice was who. Looking at the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the only one who can reach such a coercion of the Emperor's way is the Underworld Emperor in the era of chaos. Long Chen carried the Kiel Shiyue on his shoulders again. Even in the face of the legendary existence, Long Chen still showed no fear. "Thank you for the compliment. You are not bad, the majestic Underworld Emperor. You have been able to endure until now." The silver-haired King Kong used the Underworld Dragon Peak, but he didn't know that the mantis catching the cicada and the oriole were behind him, and the silver-haired King Kong didn't know until his death that he had become your pawn. "I'm very surprised. After all, the silver-haired King Kong is one of the 8 great gods of Brahma. If you don't want to save him like this, aren't you afraid that Brahma will turn against you?" Long Chen asked back. Haha. Facing Long Chen's rhetorical question, Minglong Tianfeng laughed loudly. "Little friend, although you're a little clever, don't you underestimate me if you trick me like this?" And his smile is tantamount to admitting his identity, and people's hearts sank rapidly. At this time, the Hades Dragon Peak has been possessed by the will of the Hades Emperor. At this time, who can resist him? No one expected that at the end of the battle, there would be a legend-level existence, which is too desperate. However, there is still one person who keeps everyone hopeful, and this person is Long Chen. Facing the Minglong Tianfeng possessed by the Underworld Emperor, Long Chen was still calm, as if everything was expected, and they saw hope from Long Chen's calm face. "I'm curious, how do you know that I've been following you?" Minglong Tianfeng looked at Long Chen. His dark eyes were like 2 black holes. The terrifying imperial prestige had already locked Long Chen, and he didn't seem to be in a hurry to kill Long Chen. "I knew you were coming from the time when Minglong Tianfeng used your power." After all, your imperial blood silk net is still in my hands. Long Chen said lightly. Minglong Tunfeng suddenly looked at the dragon bone Shiwa on Long Chen's shoulder, and a strange color appeared in his eyes. It's unbelievable. What is the origin of this knife? It can absorb my imperial blood silk net. However, it only absorbed a small amount of power. If I get it now, it should be able to free my imperial blood silk net. Minglong Tunfeng paused for a moment and said again, "You are very unusual as a descendant of the 9 stars. You hold the Qiankuan cauldron in your hand, and this weird long knife, such a powerful weapon, I can't help but recognize it. But I don't have it in my memory, hee. It's really interesting, so interesting. Long Chen, why not? Let me make a deal with you." Trade. Long Chen was stunned for a moment, and everyone was also stunned. Chapter 5499 Hades, the giant in the era of chaos, the ruler of the entire underworld, actually wants to make a deal with a small human race? Everyone was stunned and couldn't even believe their ears. This world is too crazy, right? What deal? Long Chen asked with interest. Cooperate with me, and I will help you become the emperor of the underworld and fight against Brahma together. Minglong Tianfeng said. Fight against Brahma together? Long Chen was shocked. What does this mean? Could it be that there are some unspeakable secrets between Hades' emperor and Brahma heaven? This time, it was Long Chen's turn that he couldn't believe his ears. At that moment, Long Chen's brain was running rapidly, but he couldn't figure out the key point. Long Chen shook his head and said, "Do you think him a fool? There are no 2 suns in the sky, and there are no 2 masters in the people. How can there be 2 emperors in the underworld at the same time?" Minglong Tunfeng looked at Long Chen and said lightly, "I can break the rules and tell you a secret. The emperor of the underworld will disappear soon, and the emperor of the underworld will replace him." Hearing Minglong Tianfeng's words, Long Chen's heart skipped a beat. Perhaps others hadn't realized what he meant, but Long Chen understood. In other words, the emperor of the underworld is about to enter the emperor realm. So even if Long Chen becomes the emperor of the underworld, his position cannot be shaken. However, Long Chen was dubious about his words. Just when Long Chen was about to speak out, Qian Kuanding said, "He's right, he was originally in the emperor realm, and he had already reached the peak of the great emperor, but because of the first battle, he was cut off from the altar by the Lord of 9 stars, and fell from the emperor realm to the emperor realm. Through so many years of self-cultivation, it is indeed possible that he has accumulated the energy to return to the emperor's realm, but his words are half-truth, and I can't feel the slightest emperor's prestige from him." Long Chen's heart was beating wildly. Now, he knew another secret. How did the emperor of the underworld come to love? When he thinks that the Lord of 9 stars is so powerful that he looks down on the 9 heavens and fights against the underworld emperor, Ghost Emperor, and countless other strong men that he can't even imagine. Before he knew it, Long Chen's blood boiled, and the Lord of 9 stars was the #1 person in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, Long Chen couldn't imagine how this peerless powerhouse who looked down on the 9 heavens and looked down on the emperors fell. Seeing that Long Chen was silent and lost in thought, Minglong Tianfeng said, "Your identity has been exposed, and you have killed one of the 8 great gods of Brahma. Although Brahma can't spare to deal with you personally, but there are other gods. You know, these gods are not as good as this silver-haired guy. They are real masters. Their strength and wisdom are stronger than this guy. They are not at the same level at all. What you need most now is to find a backer, and I am your best choice. I can swear with my soul, as long as you are willing to cooperate with me and help me unify the underworld, I am willing to fully support you in dealing with Brahma." The words of Minglong Tianfeng made all the strong men in Longyu feel moved. The emperor of the underworld actually valued Long Chen so much that he was willing to swear by his soul. Minglong Tianfeng continued, "Cooperate with me, all the resources of the underworld are yours, there is no threat from Brahma, and with your growth rate, you can become the emperor in less than 100 years. At that time, with the blessing of the laws of the underworld, you will have the strength to compete with other gods, and even have the ability to kill them." The words of Minglong Tianfeng made all the strong people including Long Chen tremble. listening to his tone. The 8 gods are all in the God Emperor realm except for the silver hair, and they are also super terrifying God Emperors. I don't understand, you obviously wore a pair of pants with the fanty on today, why are you turning against each other now? Long Chen asked. Minglong Tianfeng shook his head and said, this is a secret, unless you are willing to cooperate with me, I will not tell you. What kind of cooperation? Long Chen asked. Become the son of the Underworld Emperor and sign an equal soul contract. Minglong Tianfeng said. The equal soul contract is to be signed with the Emperor of the Underworld. This is something that countless people dare not even dream of. With this contract, one can control the laws of the underworld and become the god of the underworld. With one thought, the creatures in the underworld can be wiped out, and the entire underworld must surrender under Long Chen's feet. Even the Dragon Blood warriors were heartbroken. If the boss agreed, then the underworld would become their territory in the future. Who would dare to bully them? Equal contract, not bad. Carrying the dragon bone Xieyu, Long Chen touched his chin with his left hand and nodded. This is your best choice at the moment. I really can't think of a reason for you to reject me. It will do you no harm. Minglong Tianfeng had a calm face, neither happy nor sad, as if everything was in his expected. Long Chen pondered for a while and said, however, the name son of the Underworld Emperor is not good. Third Master Long will definitely not be someone else's child. How about this? You are the son of Long Chen. We sign an equal contract. It's settled. Originally, Minglong Tianfeng had a calm face, but when he heard Long Chen's words, his face couldn't help twitching a few times, and his calm eyes instantly became sharp like a knife, and the raging killing intent was like a tide, surging to all directions. Ka ka ka. The invisible killing intent filled the air, and the violent imperial prestige surged. The heavens and the earth seemed to sense his anger, and fine cracks began to appear in the space, like ice flowers, blooming between the heavens and the earth. The scene was extremely horrifying. You are looking for your own death. Minglong Tianfeng said with a gloomy face, I thought you were different from those stubborn donkey descendants of 9 stars, but I didn't expect you to be as stupid as them. The Underworld Emperor knew that Long Chen never considered his proposal from the beginning to the end, but played him like a monkey, and the Underworld Emperor was completely angry. He is the Emperor of the Underworld, the former ruler of the Underworld, and he has never been played by anyone in his life. The Underworld Emperor's killing intent soared to the sky, making the heavens and the world terrified, but the powerhouses of Longyu felt incomparable admiration for Long Chen's courage. Not to mention the disciples of Longyu, even the ancestors of Longyu did not have the courage to say such things to the Underworld Emperor. It was not that they did not dare, but because of the fear deep in their souls, they were unable to say such arrogant words. You are too stingy, you can't be righteous if you can't make a deal, how can you turn your face when you turn your face? Besides, when someone else is your son, you take it for granted, and if you are asked to be someone else's son, you will be furious. You are a big man, why are you so unreasonable? Long Chen spread his hands and said innocently when he saw the Emperor of the Underworld was furious. In fact, Long Chen's heart is dark, and it is considered a skill to be able to make the Underworld Emperor angry like this. It seems that few people have been able to do it since ancient times, right? If you want to die, I will fulfill you. The Emperor of the Underworld was completely enraged, and Minglong Tianfeng opened his big hand, and suddenly the 8 space gates above the void were all shattered, and he slapped Long Chen down with his palm. At the moment when Emperor Hades shot, Long Chen formed seals with his hands, but a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. Fortunately, I still have a whole card. Following the formation of the dragon dust seal, the entire dragon field trembled, and then a piece of sky-covering dragon scales emerged. As soon as the dragon scales came out, all the experts in the dragon field exclaimed. Chapter 5500. A piece of dragon scales covered the sky, and the vast dragon's majesty was stirring, just like the ancient dragon waking up. As soon as it appeared, the sky collapsed, thousands of roads roared, and the sacred dragon's majesty and the emperor's majesty of the underworld fought against each other. The divine splendor and the black law of the underworld clashed to form two different worlds. The coercion of the dragon scales was not under the majesty of the underworld emperor. "It's the emperor dragon scale," the powerhouses of Longyu exclaimed. They were extremely excited, their blood boiled, and Emperor Dragon Emperor Lin, who had been silent for countless years, unexpectedly woke up at this time. But they were also surprised that the Emperor Dragon Emperor scale had been sleeping for countless years, and no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't wake it up, and yet it appeared at this time. Could it be? People looked at Long Chen with disbelief in their eyes. Boom! The dragon scales cover the sky, the gods are radiant, and they are equal to the power of the underworld emperor. At that moment, the powerhouses in the entire dragon realm, under the protection of the dragon scales, no longer feel the threat of the underworld emperor. Seeing the brilliance of the dragon scales and feeling the overwhelming fighting spirit emanating from the dragon scales, the experts in the dragon domain were both excited and ashamed. Facing a powerful enemy, they not only lost the strength to resist, but also lost the courage to resist. They were ashamed of their ancestors. "Brother, don't be too arrogant. Although you are the emperor of the underworld and command all the clans in the underworld, you have to remember that this is not your territory. This is the dragon domain. Don't speak too loudly." Long Chen loosened his voice slowly. Imprinting in his hand, he looked at Minglong Tianfeng and said calmly. Minglong Tianfeng looked at the Zhiqian dragon scale, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. "It's just the remnant soul of the dragon emperor in the era of chaos. Do you think it can protect you? After years of erosion, it has only a trace of original consciousness left, and it has no energy, but it can no longer be used. No one here can drive its power. It does not pose any threat to me." The ancestors of the dragon clan felt awe-inspiring. Just as the underworld emperor said, although the emperor dragon emperor scale appeared, they could not communicate with it and could not drive it at all. Long Chen also smiled. "The emperor of the underworld is nothing more than that. I even wonder if your head was chopped to pieces by the Lord of 9 Stars, and it hasn't grown well yet. If I don't have the ability to control it, do you think I will waste my efforts in summoning it?" Although the powerhouses in Longyu had already guessed that Long Chen should have summoned the Emperor Dragon Scale, they were still shocked to hear Long Chen admit it. "Brothers, the one in front of you is the Emperor of the Underworld, a giant who has survived from the era of chaos. This guy has eyes on his ass and is totally defiant. It's time to teach him a lesson." Long Chen waved his hand. Buzz. Since the moment the Emperor Dragon Scale appeared, the Dragon Blood Warriors had understood Long Chen's plan. Long Chen kept them preserving their strength and keeping themselves at their peak all the time. It turned out that it was for this moment. The destiny roulette behind more than 7,000 Dragon Blood Warriors lit up, and dragon shadows emerged one after another. They were ancient dragon souls. At this time, they all appeared. The visions of all the Dragon Blood Warriors were stretched apart, the giant dragons roared and echoed each other, and the visions of more than 7,000 people were all joined together to form the formation of 10,000 dragons. When the formation was completed, the dragon shadows above their heads glowed, and the figures of the Dragon Blood Warriors were reflected on the dragon scales. Suddenly, the divine brilliance of the Dragon Blood Warriors surged, and the vast imperial pressure poured down. Pour it directly into the bodies of the Dragon Blood Warriors. Dragon Blood // The moment the power of the dragon scales poured down, the power of the Dragon Blood Warriors rushed towards Guoran, who was at the front like a tide. Guoran gave a loud shout, his battle armor glowed, and the golden sabers crossed in front of him. The golden 10 character shot out from the golden saber. Guoran and the others were shocked by the terrifying recoil and rolled out of the sword. In Minglong Tianfeng's eyes, the golden cross changed from blurry to clear, from small to large, and it was in front of him in an instant. At that moment, Minglong Tianfeng's expression turned several times, and finally he snorted coldly, opened his big hand, and 8 vortexes emerged and gathered into a monster totem with 8 eyes in his palm. Boom! The golden 10 was chopped on the palm of Minglong Tianfeng. With a bang, A crack appeared in the void. Boom! The crack expanded rapidly, forming a black waterfall, and the whole world was torn apart, abruptly divided into two halves. Rewind, the world split apart, 10,000 ways collapsed, the black crack, like the mouth of a devil, devoured the world, the violent suction force, even the Dragon King felt fear, and people instinctively retreated. Boom! The space crack is getting bigger and bigger, and the devouring power is getting stronger and stronger. Everyone is desperately retreating, but there is only one person standing in front of the space crack, looking at the front coldly. At this time, above Long Chen's head, an ancient bronze tripod appeared, and the divine brilliance fell down, so that he would not be affected by the turbulent flow of space. Long Chen, who was bathed in the divine radiance of the Qiankuan cauldron, carried the huge keel bone Shiyue, and looked at the opposite Minglong Tianfeng across the black abyss. At this time, one hand of Minglong Tianfeng had disappeared, but his face was expressionless, so calm that it was frightening. Similarly, he was also looking at Long Chen, and the two of them just looked at each other across the air. One was the overlord of the era of chaos, and the other was the unrivaled arrogance of the new era. Neither of them spoke, just looked at each other quietly. Wisdom and strength are both important. Even in absolute disadvantages, you can always keep calm, accurately analyze the gains and losses, and calmly deploy to respond to changes. You really are not an ordinary descendant of the 9 stars. I will ask you one last time now, are you willing to cooperate with me? Minglong Tianfeng said. Until now, Emperor Hades is still unwilling to give up. He still wants to win Long Chen over and recruit him under his command. It can be seen how much he attaches importance to Long Chen. You think too much. Since I am the descendant of 9 stars, we are fateful enemies. In the future, either you will die or I will live. Long Chen shook his head and said. Minglong Tianfeng also shook his head and said, you humans have a saying that there are no eternal enemies, only eternal interests. The Lord of the 9 stars has fallen for many years, the times have changed, and revenge has no meaning. It is better to fight against the great changes of the world and compete for the position of the 9 heavens overlord. When he heard, together against the great changes of the world, Long Chen's heart moved. He knew that the underworld emperor inadvertently leaked another secret. However, Long Chen was too lazy to pry into these secrets. He shook his head and said, not everything in this world can be traded. There are some things that must be defended with life and blood, even if one's body is smashed to pieces, and one's soul is scattered. Hearing Long Chen's words, Minglong Tianfeng was not angry or regretful, and his expression was very calm, as if he knew Long Chen would answer like this. He nodded and said, then we will be mortal enemies from now on, and we will do everything we can to deal with the enemy. On your body just now, I saw the appearance of 2 girls. They should be from the lineage of the god of the underworld. Right, I will start with them 2 first. When hearing the words of Minglong Tianfeng, Long Chen's eyes were as cold as a knife for a moment, and Minglong Tianfeng saw Long Chen's expression, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Farewell, the figure of Minglong Tianfeng flickered, the void exploded, and people were swallowed by endless darkness and disappeared. Chapter 5501. Thank you, Senior. If it weren't for your help, I would have fully explained here today. The underworld dragon peak disappeared, and Long Chen's eyes were filled with a deep sense of powerlessness. The underworld emperor was too strong, so powerful that it made people despair. Long Chen had thought countless times to kill Minglong Tianfeng, but Long Chen's heart told him that this was impossible. He has the confidence to kill the silver-haired residual space, but he has no chance of killing Minglong Tianfeng, because the sole thought on Minglong Tianfeng made Long Chen understand what the gap between dimensions and dimensions is. What nonsense are you talking about? How can you suffer from your efforts for the Dragon Clan? Chaos Dragon Emperor said, actually, if you don't retain half of the Dragon Scale's power, there may be a slight chance to kill Hell Dragon Peak. It's completely unnecessary. The life of the Nether Dragon Heaven Peak is not worth my wasting so much power of the Dragon Emperor. Long Chen shook his head and said, Long Chen borrowed the will of the Chaos Dragon Emperor to drive the Emperor Dragon Emperor scale. No matter how unruly the dragon scale is, in front of the Chaos Dragon Emperor, it must obey Long Chen's command and lose its power to the Dragon Blood Legion. However, Long Chen had a hunch that even if all the power of the dragon scale was exhausted, it would not be able to kill the underworld dragon Sky Peak. At most it could only be severely injured, so Long Chen only used half of the power of the dragon scale. After all, the power of dragon scales is too precious. It is not worth fighting for that chance. If we let go of the silver-haired residual space and change the target to Minglong Tianfeng, he may not be able to block our knife. Longu Shiyue said bitterly. Long Chen shook his head, and just as he was about to speak, Qiankuan Cauldron said, It's useless. When the gate of the underworld opens, the power of the entire underworld will bless him. Unless he can forcibly close the gate of the underworld and cut off his connection with the underworld, but this is almost impossible. Shut up quickly, from the beginning to the end, you didn't exert any effort, it's all over, so you came out to pretend to be X. Long Gu Xie said angrily. In this battle, Qian Kuan-Ding didn't do anything at all, and only showed his face at the last moment, which made Long Gu Xie very upset. Don't say that. It's not that the seniors don't come out to help, but that I dare not use the power of the seniors. Hades has long been eyeing senior. I believe Hades has already made preparations to deal with senior. If we use senior's power, we will be fooled. At the last moment, I asked the senior to come out just to discuss the underworld emperor. Long Chen hurriedly defended the Qiankuan Cauldron. From the moment when the underworld emperor's power appeared, Long Chen had an intuition that the Qiankuan Cauldron must not be used. The reason why the underworld emperor focused on him was because of the Qiankuan Cauldron. He definitely set up a trap to deal with it. Therefore, Long Chen didn't use it from the beginning to the end. Until the end, he let the Qiankuan Cauldron come out to show his face and stimulate the underworld emperor. To put it bluntly, it's just useless. Long Gu Xie said disdainfully. Qi Shiyue is not polite to Qiankuan Cauldron at all, and is always tit for tat. Even though Qiankuan Cauldron has given way to it many times, it is still tit for tat, which makes Long Chen very headache. However, Qiankunding's temper is very good. He has never been as knowledgeable as Longu Shiyue, and he doesn't talk back, just pretend he didn't hear it. Seeing that Qiankuan-Ding ignored it, Qi Shiyue felt bored and returned directly to the chaotic space. Runes circulated around the body of the Qiankuan Cauldron, and Dao Dao's divine brilliance fell down, wrapping Long Chen. Long Chen suddenly felt warm all over his body, and then endless power of heaven and earth poured into Long Chen's body. Senior. Long Chen was taken aback. Don't move, it'll help you heal your injuries. Qiankuan-Ding said. No, Long Chen said with a smile, he didn't suffer any injuries, a little injury with the chaos space, he will recover soon, without using the Qiankuan Cauldron. Open it and look inside. Qiankuan-Ding said. When Long Chen heard this, his heart trembled, and he quickly opened his eyes. He immediately saw countless black spots like centipedes, which were eroding his meridians and bones. Long Chen couldn't help being startled. These black spots carry a terrifying curse power, and this kind of curse power can only be sensed by probing with the power of the soul. What is this? Long Chen was shocked. You fought recklessly with the Emperor of the Underworld. Although you took advantage on the surface, you were cursed by the Underworld. Qiankuan-Ding said. What is that? Long Chen was stunned. He didn't feel anything at all. If it wasn't for Qiankunding's reminder, he wouldn't even know he had been tricked. Currently used, the app with the most complete and best audio for listening to books, integrated with 4 major speech synthesis engines, over 100 kinds of timbres, and an artifact that supports offline reading, Huanyuan app. ComSource app. The most frightening thing was that these spots had actually invaded his bones and gradually began to spread, but he didn't feel any discomfort at all. If it wasn't for Qiankuan-Ding's reminder, it might not be long before the curse spots would spread all over his body. He is the Emperor of the Underworld, and his will is the will of the Underworld. The blow of the Dragon Blood Legion triggered the backlash of the Underworld's power. No, I didn't send that blow? Long Chen was stunned. That move was made by Guoran and the Dragon Blood Legion. They had nothing to do with it. How could all the backlash be on him? Dragon Blood Cross / exploded the eight-eyed totem in Minglong Tianfeng's hand, and the moment the totem shattered, the power of the curse exploded. And at that time, you were standing in the front, 90% of the power of the curse was absorbed by you. Qian Kuan-Ding said, the remaining power of the curse is shared by everyone, so it doesn't matter to them, but you are the worst. You must have known it was the power of the curse. Why didn't you help me resist it? Long Chen was dumbfounded. The power of this curse is deadly and poisonous to others, but to you, that is a chance. Qian Kuan-Ding smiled. I will guide these curse runes to the palm of your hand, and you will refine them into life runes. From then on, you will have an extra ghost hand that can control the power of the ghost. This is the power of the underworld. How can I control it? Long Chen couldn't help but ask. Sometimes you are extremely intelligent, and sometimes you are stupid as hell. When faced with the pressure of the laws of the underworld, what do you use to resist? Qian Kuan-Ding said angrily. Long Chen suddenly opened his mouth wide, and then he remembered that he had the will of the underworld god on his body, and there were underworld blood runes in his body, which were left to him by Leng Yuan and Ming Zangyue. In the words of Qian Kuan-Ding, this curse rune is condensed by the power of the most pure law of the underworld, and it is attached with the will of the emperor of the underworld. If it is refined, Long Chen will master an extremely terrifying law. At this moment, the curse runes all over Long Chen's body were forced onto Long Chen's palm by the Qinkuan cauldron, and Long Chen's palm was instantly as black as ink. However, before Long Chen could ask how to refine them, the two Ing by Rias bone sword emerged in his palm. The two long bone swords were Leng Yuan and Ming Kengyu's natal weapons. They crossed and quickly absorbed the black runes. Long Chen's right hand returned to its original color, but in the palm of his hand, a pattern of crossed bone swords appeared. It's done! Looking at this pattern, Long Chen's voice trembled with excitement. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.